unbeatable bowl. Get your every wish in one hearty, craveable dish when you try a home-style bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for only $4.59. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Need to update your furniture? Menards has the furniture you need in stock. Plus, you get a free rug. That's right. Buy any upholstered living room furniture at $2.99 or more and get a free 5x7 area rug. That's $149.99 in savings. Need a new chair? How about a sectional, a new recliner, or love seat? Buy one today, get a free rug. Hurry up. Get to Menards before they're gone. In-store only while supplies last.
Save big money at Menards.
Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Happy Thursday. Kev Nash, welcome in.
Wrong mic.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN radio. Happy Thursday. Kev Nash, welcome in.
What up, dog?
Damn. I thought you were dancing, to be honest with you. When you were pointing over there, I thought you were just, I don't know, feeling the music.
It happens.
Bumpy start. Hope everyone's had a great day. Off and rocking here on a Thursday. Getting days and days closer, of course, to the AFC, NFC championship game. And the trash talk is starting to increase. The Chiefs kind of weighing in. So a couple of players are asked their thoughts on the Bengals. A couple of them responded with, I'm impressed. Big Chiefs fan. No, but we'll talk about that coming up here around the corner. In fact, Adam Teicher will be coming on with us coming up at 5 o'clock, covers the Chiefs for ESPN. He'll give us the Chiefs perspective kind of as they prepare for the Bengals. We talk a lot about what the Bengals are doing in preparation for the Chiefs. We'll kind of get an insider from the Chiefs' point of view as they prepare for a team that's kind of beat them. And you talk about Arrowhead, I guess they're calling it, some of the Bengals players are calling it Burrowhead. So there's that.
You know, I love when we get the opinions of others, the other teams that we cover. You know what I'm saying? We focus primarily on the Bengals and the Browns football-wise, but it's cool to hear the other teams that they're going to be facing, hearing their reporters, see what's going on inside their locker room, see what the talk is about with those guys. So that's going to be a pretty cool interview coming up at 5.
All right, we'll get to that. Last night, Dayton Flyers, first time that they have gone up against their former head coach in Archie Miller, and Archie Miller got the best of Dayton last night in what was a very unimpressive performance for the Flyers. We'll talk about that later on as well. We will have Talking Out Loud coming up immediately following our show with Sully, presented by Timothy's Bar and Grill. That's coming up, but not a good night for Flyers fans or the Flyers last night. Obviously, just, yes, they're getting healthier. Yes, they're trying to get people back in the rotation, but how much of it is that versus them just not being a very good basketball team? We'll talk about that coming up later on in the show. But all right, so yesterday didn't have time to get to this, but, at this time, I blame the Bengals. I'm so used to talking draft this time of year. And although the Browns aren't in the playoffs, you think that they'd be worthy of talking about with draft talk. Nope, they're not worthy of it either because they don't have any first round top meaningful draft picks because they got their quarterback now, or hopefully. But the one thing we can't talk about when it comes to the draft is the Ohio State Buckeyes. So Mel Kiper released his very first NFL mock draft yesterday. And of course, it made a couple headlines earlier in the week when it came out, mainly because there's been all the talks about Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky. There's a lot of talk about, obviously, Bryce Young, the quarterback from Alabama. But CJ Stroud, we keep trying to figure out where does he kind of come into the mix. We know he's one of the top quarterbacks. We know he's going to go high in the draft, which is what made it so surprising that it took him so long to declare for the NFL draft. But that's kind of where we're at right now. But the reality is Mel Kiper, throughout all the hype for Will Levis and all the talk of Bryce Young, he has CJ Stroud going first in his first mock draft that he just released to the Texans. This is what Mel Kiper had to say as far as to why he's so high on the former Buckeye CJ Stroud.
Well, it changed up a bit. You talk to 12 teams, you get maybe a ton of different opinions. You can't get a consensus, Greeny. And I think when you look at it, who was the most consistent over the last 2 years? Granted, he had a lot of help around him. It was pitch and catch in a lot of games. But when it wasn't pitch and catch, the Georgia game, as you mentioned, Greeny, he showed with his legs what he could do, how he could see the field when he was flushed out of the pocket, his consistency from game to game. Now, the Northwestern game, the wind, the rain, throw that out. But I think the fact of the matter is his size, the way he throws accurately to all levels. That Georgia game in particular stood out the way he could move around and beat the defense with his legs when he needed to. CJ Stroud could end up being the first quarterback off the board, certainly in mock 1.0. I want to shake it up a bit. If you got three that are equal, you get all these opinions. I put Stroud as the top quarterback coming off the board.
So felt good about that, but it sounds like he just said, why the hell not? Let's just shake it up a little bit. There was no real professional definitive analysis there. But in Mel Kiper's mock draft, he has the Bears so far holding on to that number 1 overall pick, taking Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle, of course, from Georgia. But CJ Stroud going number 2 overall to a team that I know you were not fond of him ending up going to, which is the Houston Texans. But you hear the analysis from Mel Kiper kind of backing up and defending why he has Stroud, the former Buckeye, being the first quarterback taken off the board.
I love it. I love the fact that they're finally starting to realize how good CJ Stroud is. It's kind of like one of those things that it's ebbs and flows. Like they have the hot guy of the moment, and at one time CJ Stroud was, and then people got cool on him, and then Bryce Young was the guy, and then Will Levis is the guy. Now it's circling back around to CJ Stroud because, further this draft process starts to go along, these NFL scouts actually get a time to really dissect the footage and the tape and get back with the scouting department and see what's what and what really is going on. Because we, as football fans, we simply say, oh, CJ Stroud threw a touchdown. He had 5 touchdowns versus Iowa. He's thrown for X amount of yards, this, that, and the other, and say he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. But that's not always the case. There's tons of guys in college football who put up gaudy numbers who aren't great professional quarterbacks. You go look at some of the numbers that Josh Allen put up at Wyoming, not so hot. Nobody, if you just simply looked at his stats, you wouldn't be able to say like, oh man, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So it's a projection of what they're going to become if they get the right tutelage. And if he ultimately ends up with Houston, I'm curious who's going to be his head coach and play caller.
Yeah, again, Frank Reich was named the Panthers head coach earlier today. In fact, I found out that obviously him being their quarterback, their very first season, I didn't realize that. I didn't know he. They said he threw their very first touchdown. Am I wrong on that? Is he that? I think he looks older than what he actually is then.
Oh, he's old.
So, but how long have the Panthers been around?
I want to say the Panthers have been around since like 94.
So he looks old for playing in 94 then. I could be wrong on that. But
Frank Wright is a young 61 years old.
So, yes, according to Field Yates, Frank Reich has been named the Panthers head coach. He threw the first touchdown pass in team history back in 1995. Well, coaching ages, yeah, that's for sure. But nonetheless, one of the coaching vacancies was filled. The Panthers have their head coach. The Texans still trying to figure out what's kind of going on there. So, yes, going to the Texans sounds horrible right now, the same way Burrow going to the Bengals sounded horrible back in 2020, but that worked out pretty well. That's what I keep having to try to remind myself. The Texans sounds like a horrible organization to go to. It sounds like a horrible situation to go to. But to be honest, most teams that are picking at the top, they all sound like a horrible situation to go to. They're picking at the top for a reason.
Right.
But I've learned with using the Bengals and Joe Burrow, every narrative that is being thrown around for why CJ Stroud should not go to Houston is the same talking points and maybe slightly different, but the same talking points about the Bengals. Oh, Joe Burrow goes to Cincinnati, his career will be ruined. They will not put enough pieces around him for him to succeed. They will, his career is over before it starts when he was drafted by the Bengals. That's what everyone is saying about the Texans if they for sure end up drafting CJ Stroud, really any quarterback that goes there.
Right.
But got to give it a little time. I think, who the head coach is matters. And honestly, they have a lot of money to spend in the offseason. They moved on from the Deshaun Watson contract. So they have all the money in the world to spend. They have a ton of draft picks. They're a bad football team, but we see it every year. Non-playoff teams, bad football teams, totally turning it around from one year to the next. The Jaguars, a last place football team, go on to win the division and win a playoff game a year later. That could be CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. So we'll see what ends up happening. It just doesn't sound right, but hell, the Bengals being in a spot to make the Super Bowl for the second straight season just a few years after drafting Burrow also doesn't sound right, but that's where we're at.
The only pushback I would give on the Texans, and you're 100% correct about the turnaround of these teams. It happens just like that. When you get the right head coach in there, and more importantly, you get the right players in there, you can start winning and start winning big in this league. We've seen it time and time again. But the only thing about the Houston Texans situation is this is dating back before all the creepy stuff came out about Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
There was mismanagement going on inside the organization from the top. And then you get everything that goes on with Deshaun Watson wanting out of there. And then you start thinking to yourself, like, wait, Deshaun Watson's a very, very good quarterback, and y'all couldn't make it work with him. So then that's strike 2. And then you go through 2 head coaches in 2 years. Like, for me, that's 3 strikes, you're out. But you're right. Like, depends on who they get. Depends on what head coach they get. They can get Sean Payton. They can get Eric Bieniemy. Then my tune could change very quickly.
Yeah, and like as there is nothing. So, yeah, defending this, there is nothing about the Texans I trust or feel good about. But to be fair, every team is dysfunctional until you get that quarterback. It's amazing to me. Can you name – and that doesn't mean because you have a quarterback there's no dysfunction. Baltimore. Like, that's a pretty buttoned-up organization that seems to be drama-filled right now because they're kind of going through this process. But I would much rather be a organization having drama with my superstar quarterback versus an organization who is still looking for someone that they could even remotely flirt with to be their franchise quarterback. But I do know that the fastest way to turn your franchise around is to get the quarterback right, and the coach, and the Texans have a chance to get both. But again, the odds are not in their favor because they haven't proven to be able to be a successful organization and making enough of those right moves. But again, either was the Bengals. So we'll see what ends up happening. Someone just asked about the draft order. Adam Selzner on Facebook. Adam, hope you've had a great day. Thanks for reaching out to the show. Make sure everyone can read this. By the way, live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, The Justin Kinner Show, live on Facebook with Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash, live on Facebook and on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Make sure you jump in on the fun there. Adam says, let's hear the NFL draft order bit again, Justin. Like bits, like what you mean? The sound bite or the bit?
I thought it was asking for the draft order. I was pulling it up on my computer, but he wants to hear you talk about how that the Bengals are good, so they're drafting late, and the Browns don't have any picks because they traded everything away for Deshaun Watson.
Well, yeah, they got Deshaun Watson though. Now I know that's laughable because of last year's Deshaun Watson, but don't worry. In the words of all Browns fans, next year is our year. And Cowboys. That's why, it's a lot easier to remember our team slogans if you just keep picking teams that all have the same slogans. I mean, it is what it is. But Mel Kiper's first mock draft of the season, and you snobby Bengals fans, you don't care about the draft this year, and I don't blame you. But the Bears, Texans, Cardinals, Colts, and Broncos all have the top 5 picks. And then the Lions, who had a very good season, missed the playoffs, but they got the Rams. This is one of the Rams picks that they got in exchange for, sending Matthew Stafford over there and getting Goff. I don't think they expected to be picking this high with this Rams pick, but here they are. I mean, this is a very dangerous young team, and now they have another top draft pick that's sitting at number 6. And then the Raiders have 7. The Falcons have 8. The Panthers have not the 9th pick, and then the Saints. The Eagles. I'm sorry, the Eagles have that number 10 pick. Which is pretty interesting. So that's scary. A lot of good teams in there too. That's the thing. Like the Seahawks, it's a very good team that has the number 5 pick in the draft right now. They may, run it back. They don't have, they have the Seahawks taking Will Levis at quarterback, even after the great year they had with Geno. But imagine the Seahawks, if they get Will Levis on a rookie quarterback deal, the Seahawks will be right back at the top of the NFC here. If let's say they do get Will Levis, Kev, this kind of goes back to what we talked about yesterday with the different approaches that teams have. The Bills kind of taking that slight shot at the Bengals. We spent a lot of time on that yesterday. But the one thing, whether you agree with it or not, the teams who don't have all their money invested into their quarterback, who are getting quality quarterback play of guys on their rookie deal, they're able to maximize that. I think the Seahawks, with all the talent that they have on that offensive side of the ball, if they can get a rookie quarterback, move on from Geno, all that money, they could bulk up that offensive line, load up on defense, and they have a 4-year run now to work with, like the Bengals with Joe Burrow. Kansas City had it with, of course, all these teams have it. The Seahawks are a dangerous team picking number 5. They can get a top quarterback. And then you look, of course, at the Lions, who didn't make the playoffs, but I put them almost in that playoff category because they were so close. They played such good football down the stretch. That's another scary team that you're giving a top draft pick to. I mean, my goodness, like there's a lot of good teams at the top of this draft, and I think that we're going to see a lot of major turnarounds after this year for sure.
I think the scariest team that's drafting in the top 10 is Philly. I mean, they're in the NFC Championship game already, and they're drafting in the top 10. Normally, you're drafting at 30 if you're in the AFC or NFC Championship game, so they're going to get one of the best players in the NFL draft, or they could trade the pick and trade back and get multiple second-round picks to bolster their roster even more. So Philly's going to be dangerous.
So Adam Adam might have came in. I can't tell if Adam is funny or I don't know what he was trying to ask earlier, but Adam goes, and I think I've heard this take before. You could argue that Houston has the potential to change their fortunes like the Bengals did with the draft, Burrow, Chase, in back-to-back years. That's what I said. But I think Adam tuned in after I made that point. Adam, no, you're 100% right. The cool thing about the NFL, and this is what Kevin and I had this conversation about yesterday, there's more than one way to build contenders.
Yeah.
There's more than one way. It's not only one way, but there is a way that is, I think, more efficient, and that is the route of the rookie quarterback. But again, you don't want to plan for that. I know that, this is why we talked about the Bills yesterday. I talked about the resentment that they kind of have towards the Bengals, and I feel like it's because they believe they did it. They have that Big Ten mindset that we choose to make things harder, so we're going to judge those who go the easier route. Like, we get mad at the SEC because they schedule light. Well, that's the team that's won 4 straight national championships. Don't you think you should probably follow their blueprint instead of screaming about how you make your scheduling harder? I mean, you're not winning any style points for scheduling anything harder, to be honest. It hasn't benefited the Big Ten. So that's kind of how I'm doing this here. Like, the Bills are like, well, they had to suck to get Jamar Chase. They had to suck to get Joe Burrow. Although I agree with the Bills that I kind of like their approach better because they're competing every year. You're going to get mad at the Bengals because if that way works, go that route instead. And the NFL, you don't have to be bad long. You could be bad for a year, maybe 2 years tops, and you turn your fortunes around if you draft well. But that's what's fun about this is the fact that there are a lot of different ways to turn it around. The Rams are an example. Them winning a Super Bowl, as you talked about, it kind of showed teams that, hey, we don't have to tank. They moved off of Jared Goff, and we thought, oh, it's time to rebuild. No, they just moved off from Goff, gave up a lot of draft capital, but they brought in a ton of stars. You have a shorter window with that, but maximize it, blow it all up, start over, and guess what? Good again in 2 years. That's kind of the route a lot of these teams can go. It'll be interesting to see what some of these teams do, but Houston has a very good opportunity here, but the Browns did as well. They never capitalized on it. They did kind of this past go round. They still don't have a lot to show for it, but it's still an interesting approach. That's for sure.
You talked about the Rams. There's a lot of rumors going around about Jalen Ramsey, about where he could be potentially heading. So it sounded like they're about to hit the reset button. So we talked about this before, their whole mindset of F those picks. Now they're about to start trading those guys that they gave up picks for. Now, granted, you probably won't be getting number ones for these guys. You probably get 2s and 3s, but that's how you replenish your roster, by trading star talent to somebody else's roster that's in need. And I mean, with a Jalen Ramsey, he's still good enough to play corner, but I'm questioning, is this the time of his career where he transitions to safety, kind of like Charles Woodson did when he went to the Green Bay Packers after he was
God, he had 2 different Hall of Fame careers.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame corner, Hall of Fame safety. So, him, Aaron Donald is out there, and I'm a firm believer that Matthew Stafford is going to be playing for somebody else as soon as Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey get traded.
Bengals fans, I apologize for all this draft talk. I know this is beneath you guys now. Y'all left us behind. You left us non-playoff fans behind. You're too good for all this draft talk, so I apologize, but it is interesting nonetheless. Jeff Salyer is on Facebook. Look at that. He has the Bengals picture on his profile, but man, everyone's excited. I will say, you can't go anywhere. There's Bengals fan. You can't go anywhere without seeing Bengals gear everywhere.
It's everywhere, man.
It's everywhere. I mean, sports does, even though that's not my team, but it is cool seeing when communities rally behind teams. That's why I hate when people say it's just a game. It's not just a game. It's the ultimate unifier. It divides people. Don't get me wrong, but it unites everyone. But anyways, he goes, I don't know if Levis is the guy. I'm a Kentucky fan, but in his defense, his offensive line was terrible.
This year, he did not have a good year this year, but the year before, he was very good. He was very good. I guess would be his freshman or sophomore year, but he can answer this better for me. He had to transfer from Penn State because he couldn't beat out Sean Clifford. So does that mean Sean Clifford is better than him? Because if Sean Clifford is better than him, I'm straight.
Well, so let me ask you, because sometimes there are coaches that they let their not loyalty be an issue. Excuse me, but Urban Meyer was like that too, where sometimes, like, let me use Justin Fields for an example. Who was the quarterback at Georgia that they stuck with? Why it's going to drive me nuts. Either way, they had a quarterback there that there's no way he was better than Justin Fields. And by the way, he's a well-known quarterback. I can't think of his name. He got drafted late, and then he had some racist tweets pop up, and that really just killed any momentum of him getting kind of any push. But he, gosh, who was the name of that dang Georgia quarterback? It doesn't matter. The point is that Georgia quarterback was very, very good, led Georgia to a national championship appearance, led him to the playoffs, SEC championships, all that. There's no way, though, he was better than Justin Fields. But because he was a part of that team's success, it's not that Justin Fields didn't beat him out for the job.
Jake Fromm.
There's no way that he was better than Justin Fields, but you're also not going to bump him when if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you're going to gamble everything for a true freshman quarterback, even though the skill set's better. You know, it takes a lot. You know, Trevor Lawrence, obviously, had to, he was the right off the bat, of course, so that was interesting about him. Or no, he took over after a few games.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, it's a tough, I don't think it's not these guys that he wasn't good enough to beat out Clifford. What was that situation like back when he was there? Do you remember? Was it one of those that they were just kind of married to him already and they didn't feel comfortable moving on? Sometimes it's not that they're beat out. It's just that the coaches are almost loyal to their guy that they've built around, I guess.
I mean, Sean Clifford, man, he just seems like he was there forever and a day. Forever. And it was like, I remember Will Levis went there and I was like, well, he's going to get that job real quick. And then they rolled out Sean Clifford and they rolled Sean Clifford out again. Then he hit the portal. Then he's in Kentucky. Then he started balling. I was like, man, looks like we dodged a bullet there with Ohio State. Don't have to face Will Levis. We'll gladly face Sean Clifford once a year because he'll give us the ball. So that's what I was at with. That's the only reason I paid attention to it, because he was supposed to be the guy to take the job from Sean Clifford, and Sean Clifford never relinquished the job to him. So that's why I always kept an eye on Will Levis.
So Will Levis, actually, I hope CJ Stroud doesn't go number 2. I hope he drops back a few. I hope that they start drinking the Kool-Aid on Will Levis. I would love CJ Stroud in Seattle. Mel Kiper has CJ Stroud. For those of you just joining us, Justin Kinner, he's Kev Nash, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio. Talking a little NFL draft, Mel Kiper released his first mock draft. The only reason we're spending as much time on this as we are is because, obviously, with CJ Stroud, a Buckeye quarterback, the quarterbacks that don't make it in the NFL, it is interesting that I'm glad to see that narrative is not getting in the way yet. I mean, by the way, as we get closer to the draft and these, the combine, it's going to move guys up, move guys back. I'm not saying that'll happen with Stroud, but sometimes I do think as you get closer and it's getting closer to that draft day, sometimes you can let some of those narratives cloud your judgment a bit. I think that's why Fields dropped the way he did. It was so close to after Haskins, Haskins dropped in the draft and everyone said, oh my gosh, how can you be so silly? And then he proved why a lot of teams moved on, or at least he wasn't mentally at the time. He was very immature, and some of the mistakes that he made early on, it didn't work out. And then I think that had an impact on Fields, to be honest. And then Fields goes to a bad situation, and instead of saying the Bears are bad, it's Fields is bad.
Right.
Fields has a great second-year campaign. Heading into year 3, they have a chance to put pieces around him. But I think CJ Stroud, if you put him with the Seahawks, with Metcalf, all right, with why am I drawing a blank? Lockett, and with Walker, and with the run game. I love the Seahawks. I would love Stroud to go to Seattle, but Will Levis and either way, Seattle's going to make out here. Yes. Seattle's going to be, look out for them. They're going to be that team next year that takes the most.
Who does Kiper have them taking at 5?
Will Levis.
Okay.
That's where I was like, I hope Will Levis moves up and Stroud drops. If that's the case, I would love him in Seattle. That's for sure.
So I'm assuming they have Bryce Young going to the Colts.
Bryce Young to the Colts. The Lions, by the way, at number 6. Let's say Will Levis, Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud. They're not taken in the top 5. There's the Lions at 6. Do they take a Stroud? Do they take a Levis? Do they take a Bryce Young? I mean, it sounds like reports are coming out from Detroit that no, they're happy with their quarterback, and I don't think you force it. I don't think you trade up to take those guys, but you have to think that if Will, CJ, or Bryce happens to fall just slightly, and they're right there, if you're the Lions, do you capitalize on that?
I don't know, man. He had a good year.
He did.
He had a good year, man.
They
had one of the best offenses in football. The defense was shabby the first half of the season. Then they picked it up the second half of the season. I don't think that you need to rock the boat. I think you go ahead and roll out there with what you got. I mean, it seems like that's what they want to do. I mean, their offensive coordinator's coming back. It's almost like how these guys are with the NIL talk in college football. Like, let's run it back. Like they're eager to get back to work, and I would run it back with what I got on offense. If I'm the Detroit Lions, I would try to find another rush in. If there's a high caliber defensive end out there to pair him up with Aiden Hutchinson, or if there's a Micah Parsons type of linebacker out there, that's what I would do if I was the Detroit Lions. I would run it back. I don't think I would tinker with the quarterback position.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio, live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Nick on Facebook, by the way, he chimes in. Nick, hope you're doing well. I think, Nick, you tried calling yesterday. I don't believe we got to your call. If you call back in, we'll get you to the top of the front of the line. if CJ goes to Seattle, they better spend on the O-line with that division. I mean, no doubt. Look, they draft these guys. This isn't going to be the only move that they make. I think Seattle understands the importance. The whole reason they used to have one of the top offensive lines in football. The only reason that they started losing those pieces is because, yes, me always blaming the quarterback, but when the money kicked into the quarterback position, a lot of times, there were some casualties involved, and I just don't get why you would ever make the offensive line casualties. But then here's Joey B just continuing to be elite without an elite offensive line, but nonetheless. But yeah, definitely see your point, Nick, as far as that's concerned. Yes, they can't just get CJ Stroud and be done, but with a rookie quarterback and the weapons that they already have, I mean, people thought it was dumb last year to sign Metcalf. I did too. I didn't think why they would do that, but I'm like, they got this top draft pick now, and they compete, and they're in the playoffs, and they competed with the Niners. Man, I don't know why I'm a big Seahawks fan all of a sudden, but Byers is going to kill me because if I talk it into his existence that CJ Stroud goes to play for his favorite coach,
young Pete Carroll.
I didn't realize Byers played for him. I forgot he was an interim. I guess after Buddy Ryan. Okay. I didn't realize that Pete Carroll was the interim for a little bit, and I guess they didn't mesh. They didn't mesh. So there's that. Let's see one more. Justin Smith says another mid-round pick, another year with Matt Canada. Woohoo! Here we go, Steelers.
Paris Johnson from The Ohio State University. Hopefully that will be the pick to shore up the offensive line.
Like Linderbaum and like every other offensive lineman that you were pushing for them to get, right? Like, but I'm with
Creed
you.
Humphrey. Creed Humphrey, he's back in the AFC Championship game, snapping the ball to Patrick Mahomes. Look, man, I don't mind drafting guys later, but guess what? First-round guys are more talented. Draft those guys in the first round. That is the most important part of the team, the offensive line. Get it done, please. Who they got? Who Kiper got us getting?
It was just the top 10. I don't have the full list. I'll pull up the full list. I only have the top 10 in front of me. More questions coming in. Let's see. Jacob Fightmaster. Jacob, I think you're a Seahawks fan. I could be wrong on that, but should the NFL do a lottery system like the NBA? I know we've talked about this in the past. However, I love my idea of what they should do for the NFL draft. We talk about it every year at this time. However, Kev, who usually disagrees with it, I think because of the way I pitch it, your team would benefit mightily if my suggestion actually ever came into play for how I would build the NFL draft. But we'll talk about that on the other side. Give us a call, by the way, 518-1410. Kevin Lashley says Will Levis is terrible. Kevin Lashley. Nick Allison says OSU needs a new defensive coach. Wow. Everyone's just, man. It was New England. You're right, Nick. My bad. Yes, he played for him in New England, for Pete in New England. So there's that. Anyways, all right. We'll step away for a few moments. Appreciate all of you. Give us a call. 518-1410. Justin Kinner Show. Kev Nash. We'll be right back.
The all-new Chevrolet of Troy is now open. What are the advantages of shopping at Chevrolet of Troy? Selection has never been better, with over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles available. We always accept employee and supplier pricing, and we make financing easy. Customer service is our top priority. We care about you, with thousands off MSRP, a full-service state-of-the-art dealership, and huge selection. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop today. 1375 South Market Street, and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooh. Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FRIEND at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FRIEND. Enjoy.
Sometimes the best time to prune trees is when they're dormant or with no leaves on them. For ISA certified arborists, it helps them see what branches may need to be pruned or removed. Dormant season pruning can also help lessen problems associated with insects and diseases, and help create structurally stronger trees that can better handle heavy wet snows or ice buildup. Contact an ISA certified arborist to get the best professional advice on keeping your trees healthy and safe. Go to treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
A new year and a new career. KTH Parts Industries has immediate openings, second shift production associates, and equipment technicians. Material handling experience is a plus. This is an excellent new opportunity that offers an attractive benefit package, medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at $19.75 per hour with annual increases. KTH is hosting open interviews Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Visit kth.net. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
Here at Roosters, we're not just a fun casual joint. We're a family. No matter who we are serving, our guests or our community, we strive to better the lives of those around us. Whether it's aiding in the battle against cancer, helping to educate the next generation, or simply putting a smile on someone's face, the Roosters Foundation has helped raise over $1 million annually for local charities. Our community has given us so much. This is the least we can do. Roosters, we're a fun, casual joint, but so much more.
The Dominique Foxworth Show.
I believe that most quarterbacks and probably more players are failed than the players themselves not being good. It's the coaches in the situation failing them. I was just thinking that we should start the Shanahan test or the Andy Reid test. When we start talking about players stink or players are bust, especially offensive players, just ask yourself, what would he look like in San Francisco or in Kansas City?
Check out the Dominique Foxworth Show anywhere you get your podcast.
O'Reilly. Count on the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your vehicle and budget. Get maximum cooling system performance for 10 years or 300,000 miles with peak long life universal pre-mixed antifreeze and coolant. Now just $6.99 after mail-in rebate. Plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly. Limit supply. See store for details.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Took me a little bit to get logged in to my ESPN Plus account to pull up this dang mock draft. You know, you ever panic and forget your password?
Yes,
because I have it set to where it's just it's the worst way to do things. For all you hackers out there, got your work cut out for you. You know, I say that, but I shouldn't be joking about that. Someone came and stole our trash can the other day.
What?
They didn't steal our trash can. We have those security cameras out in front of our house. And some D-bag came and, yes, they are. Sorry, but they are. They just pulled up in a random truck and just dumped all our stuff. I mean, I'm probably either getting investigated for something or I'm getting my identity stolen. Joke's on you, dude. Once you go to apply for a credit card, you loser.
That's strange.
Yep.
That's very strange.
That's why Nora the other day was like, did you order DoorDash on my card? I'm like, no. But I might know who did. I told her to stop using my DoorDash account, but when she does, I'm like, oh, does change your payment option? Oh, yeah. Is it even a question? Anyways, what are we doing here? What are we doing? How about last night, by the way? I don't know what game it was. Speaking of DoorDash.
Duquesne. Let me find out for sure.
So was it, yeah, a crazy thing happened last night. I guess in the middle of a Duquesne game, and let me make sure I have this pulled up correctly. Yeah, so last night in the middle of the Duquesne game, plays happening on the floor.
Yeah.
And, well, there was a little bit of a distraction. Take a listen.
Defense has been pretty good here in the second half for the Dukes.
It has.
Now can they maximize? Somebody came on the floor on the far side looking for an Uber Eats delivery or something there. He's carrying some McDonald's.
Oh, this has to be one of the all-time
I'm
greats.
actually not kidding.
This is the truth.
I think that's what's happening.
This guy's in the corner. Looked like was he going to deliver the McDonald's to somebody on the court? Can we rule that out?
I think that's an Uber Eats sticker.
Dude showed up to deliver hamburgers while the game was going on and stepped on the court, Tim.
So in the middle of a game, this has to be a prank.
Gotta be.
But the dude didn't smile or anything. So if it's a prank, it's the ultimate prank. Like, it has to be because, first of all, how did he get that far into the building? But again, these are mid-major basketball games. So it's not like there's security, but there's not security.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this time I went to a Wright State game and I forgot my press pass. And I go to I've covered every Wright State game since I started, well, up until recently. But point is, I walk in there and he wouldn't let me in. I'm like, just Nick Phillips, the SID, just shoot him a note. He'll vouch for me. We're good. He wouldn't let me in. I said, listen, buddy, I love Wright State basketball, but if you think I'm going to beg or do anything that I need to sneak into a Wright State basketball game, you're full of it. I was like, mock copy, either let me in or I'll just go home. That's fine. You can tell Nick that he's not going to have someone to help out tonight. That's fine. It's totally fine. Oh, but I get so mad. But it's easy to get into some of these mid-major games. Like they're not, they're just letting anybody in. They want people in, right?
More the merrier.
So this Uber Eats dude just walks in. And instead of walking around I guess if you don't love sports, you're just thinking, oh, they're just playing a fun little game. Hey, coach, you ordered McDonald's. Is this you?
Look, man, anybody out did DoorDash, Uber Eats, man, you got to make that delivery, man. It might have been a good order. It might have been a high-paying order. It might have been like a $25 order going 0.2 miles. You had to get that money.
Man, it's just, yeah. I still think it's a prank. In fact, is there any update on there?
There's no update.
I'm going to type in Uber
And it was Duquesne and Loyola, Chicago, if I could pronounce it.
Loyola. I hope my buddy's not listening, but he was I don't know, he just didn't follow college basketball that much. And we're at Buffalo Wild Wings watching games one time. I said, "Oh, who's on that TV?" And he said, Duquesne. I'm like, I don't know who Duquesne is. I looked up, Duquesne. It's like, that's our big joke now. Oh yeah, Duquesne. I'm a big Duquesne fan.
I can say Duquesne, but can't say Loyola, Chicago.
New York Post, viral food delivery at Duquesne Loyola Chicago game was a prank.
Chicago.
So this is from the New York Post. So it says that the viral on-court food delivery that surfaced from Duquesne's basketball game against Loyola Chicago was just a prank after all. Jenna Harner from WPXI in Pittsburgh reported that Duquesne confirmed this was a prank planned in advance, done for internet exposure. It's done for laughter, but good for the internet. Good for us. While the incident may have seemed funny at the time, and here we go, the do-gooders. While the incident may have been funny at the time and no harm was done, we are mindful that incidents like this can put players and officials at risk. Oh, stop. He wasn't throwing burgers at people. Why we got to just, you don't need to get mad at the kid. Get mad at your security. There was a lot of people that he got through to get to that point to start pulling this. The players could have been hurt. Was he throwing burgers at players?
French fries.
Yeah.
Dropped the milkshake on the floor.
Did he do what do people used to do through the drive-through? And they'd fire in the hole. Ever fire in the hole?
No.
Oh yeah. I didn't do this, just to be clear. But no, I swear to God I did it. But the prank, you order a milkshake from a fast food restaurant and they hand you the milkshake, you take the lid off, you yell fire in the hole, you throw it back in at the person, you drive off. I did not do this.
Why would you want to waste a perfectly good milkshake?
The internet.
Children.
Now that is, you're throwing something at somebody. I get it. You don't want that. But this, it's a funny prank. It went viral. And by the way, they're embarrassed. The ADs are embarrassed because, that's ridiculous. Don't get mad at that kid. In fact, I'd hang his picture up. Obviously not a lot of games anymore, but I would hang his picture up.
Be mad at the kid and definitely be mad at the security.
Yeah, the university statement came about 15 hours after Austin Hansen. Oh, we're putting his name out there.
Austin.
Oh, man. Let's see. He posted a 5-part thread on Twitter to debunk the legitimacy of a clip that spread across social media Wednesday night. Hansen included his own video clip and still image from a vantage point alongside the baseline when he was stationed with a camera. This kid was clearly doing a prank for YouTube and TikTok. He wrote, you can see that he is wearing a microphone and tons of students were filming with their phones. Okay, they were all in on it. Good for them. Let's yell at them so that kids don't go to your crappy basketball games anymore, Duquesne. Shout out to Nate, my friend, who innocently called him Duquesne and still has not forgot it to this day. But yeah, for those of you who haven't seen it, did you retweet it or anything?
No, I didn't.
Shame on you.
I'll get it up on Facebook.
You're always doing nothing all day anyways. And one job. Oh my goodness. All right. Jacob Fightmaster said, when DoorDash is cheaper than the stadium food, you just got to order at that McDonald's with free delivery.
True.
Anyways. All right. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. I appreciate the people who are trying to talk sports in the comment section while we're over here. Oh, man. Look, in the middle of all this, Kev, in the middle of all the DoorDash and the pranking and the fun conversation, David, you've done nothing wrong, by the way. But as a Niners OSU fan, don't wish Seattle on Stroud. Let them wildly overpay to re-sign Geno and not continue to fix the O-line or parts of their defense.
That's my thing, though. Why every time somebody's about to sign a new contract, we automatically think they're about to be wildly overpaid? Like, how much money do you think Geno Smith really about to get?
Geno's actually a solid quarterback, but he's that dangerous. He falls in that danger zone. Like, these guys will always have jobs, but the problem is you better mentally accept that you're a bridge. It doesn't matter. He had a great year. He was in the MVP conversation for a very short time, but his numbers were actually, if you go put them up side by side next to Burrow's, they're pretty close to Burrow's. And that's not hating. That's just the reality of it. But it is funny. Burrow's a god and Geno's just some scrub. But it is interesting. But I think Geno is one of those, you do it again. This is why I think there could be a chance that Seattle does the whole, let's draft the quarterback and sit him, which that I don't wish on Stroud. we've seen quarterbacks come in and make an impact right away. Mm-hmm. Wherever CJ goes, I hope he goes somewhere and is the star right off the bat, the way Burrow was in Cincinnati, the way Patrick was. Now, Patrick, that's a bad example. He sat, my bad. But he went to a good team.
Right.
Seattle's not a bad team, though. I don't know. Maybe that does fall into that. I don't know, man. I'm not patient. I want to see Stroud play. And the problem is when you bring in a quarterback that high in the draft, a lot of times, like, Geno's going to be looking over his shoulder. One bad pass, one interception, one bad low-scoring game, and the fans are going to turn on him and want to go for the young quarterback. So, you know what? I disagree. They either need to commit to Geno or move on from Geno. I don't think you could keep Geno and draft a rookie quarterback. I think that just creates a lot of drama, and I don't think that's necessary. But Geno's that dangerous quarterback, Kev, that he plays just good enough that you could win with him. But when it's all said and done, you're bringing a Geno to a Patrick Mahomes fight. You're bringing a Geno to maybe a Jalen Hurts fight. That's where things can get a little dicey. It's worked for the Niners so far, but he has so much talent around him.
Right.
But you could pay Geno not max dollars and still have money to keep weapons around him. So there's that balancing act right there. I think that's one thing that the Giants are about to do with Daniel Jones. They're going to pay a guy that they know is not an elite level quarterback. But, hey, with the money that they save by signing him to an extension, they can put more weapons around him. They can keep more weapons on the defense. They can protect him more up front. Who knows? But
who gets a bigger contract, Geno or Danny Dimes?
Daniel Jones, because he's younger.
Fair.
Younger. But I thought Geno looked better than Daniel Jones this year.
Yeah.
I think the Giants are even better than what they were with Geno than Daniel Jones. But give Jones his credit. He showed improvement. He stopped turning the ball over. And when you stop turning the ball over and you're able to extend drives, he's pretty dang good. He's solid. But I will say, David, the only thing I disagree with, you're making Seattle sound like a bad franchise. That's not a bad franchise. That's for me growing up, that was a bad franchise. But then not even really growing up, because when I got into high school, they were still. I mean, they were still getting in. With Alexander, they were still getting to the Super Bowl. They were doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the Steelers beat them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they've been a win.
Good times.
They've been consistently winning for a couple decades now.
Yeah,
they're not a bad franchise by any means, but nonetheless. David M also says, I think, and David M's on YouTube, I still think a quarterback-needy team will end up giving the Bears a haul to trade up and grab Stroud or Young. Carolina, for instance, with Reich in their fold, or the Colts. When you say a haul, what is a haul? Like, who's desperate enough to move up? Who is a Stroud away or any of these guys away that's not at the top already? I mean, I guess he just named them, the Panthers. You signed an offensive-minded coach, and you don't have a quarterback.
I think Derek Carr is going to end up with the Panthers. I mean, look at all the quarterbacks that Frank Wright has had. They've all been veteran guys.
Yep.
Like, they haven't been rookies. They've all been guys. I mean, he brought in Matty Ice this past season. He got fired halfway through the season. They brought in Carson Wentz. He had Nick Foles when he was the offensive coordinator. I mean, a quarterback coach with Philadelphia. So I think they're going to try to go get Derek Carr.
That will be. There's a lot of QBs that are going to be kind of. I mean, obviously with Jimmy Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield, you still believe he ends up back in Los Angeles, even if it's at a. So when you say that, you mean him in Los Angeles as the starter, not as the backup to Matthew Stafford?
Yes, I think Stafford gets traded days after the whole Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald situation is handled. I think they're going to move off of both of those guys. He's going to be like, hey, I didn't come here for a rebuild. I came here to win championships, not championship. Send me to so-and-so team.
Okay. That'll be something to keep an eye on. And I think, look, the Rams went all in to get a Super Bowl. And if they do blow it up, I don't think anyone's going to judge them for it. Hey, you got what you needed out of it.
Right.
Send all those guys out, reload on draft picks. You're going to use some of those draft picks to draft, and then you're going to use some of those draft picks to do what you did the first time, and that's package them up, bring in star players, rinse, cycle, repeat. That's going to be the Rams' way. That's the other way to win, by the way. That's why I like what the Rams did. So you could go the Bengals route and set yourself up for a decade's worth of success. And with that decade's worth of success, it could be within that decade, have a four-year Super Bowl window. I know Burrow thinks that, as long as I'm here, that window's open. I'm not trying to be a hater here. I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think that window's always open. I think the playoff window's always open with Burrow there. I don't think the Super Bowl window's always open. But then again, the Chiefs they're kind of they're leaving that rookie stage, and now they've officially entered the full contract stage. So it'll be interesting to see how the Chiefs can maintain this. So you can go that long-term success route and hope for a Super Bowl in that stretch, or you could do what the Rams did and almost buy your Super Bowl and then start all over again.
Right.
We'll see. But you have to have a smart owner who's capable of doing that. The Bengals will never do that. But I don't think anyone's against what they're doing now with Burrow. So
yeah, you can be.
they're in good shape.
So I'm reading this article on Sports Illustrated. They say Geno Smith's potentially $35 million a year contract. That seems a tad high. For Geno.
So let me.
If we can work with 29-30, then we could be doing something. But $35 million a year seems a tad high for my blood.
Wow, hold up. Russell Wilson is older than Geno Smith.
Correct.
Wow. I don't know why I find that interesting. He's 32 years old. So Geno's not old.
No.
Russell Wilson's going to be 35. So that's really interesting. That's kind of fascinating to me, to be quite honest with you. I don't know that 35 but by the way, 35 still not. I mean, so he started all 17 games. He's durable. He threw for 4,200 yards. Okay. Burrow threw for 200 more yards than he did. As far as the touchdowns are concerned for Geno Smith, 30 touchdowns for Geno Smith. Burrow threw 5 more than he did. Interceptions, he threw less interceptions. I'm just using Burrow as an example of. I'm not saying Burrow is bad. But I'm trying to show Geno's not bad either.
Right.
I don't know, Kev. If you're going to get, if you pay, the Bengals are going to have to pay 50+ mil to get Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
If the Seahawks stick with Geno Smith at 32 years old for a 4 or 5 year window and get him at that market or get him at that price, you're paying 35 mil a year to get 5 less touchdowns a year and 200 less passing yards a game than what the Bengals are getting for their 50 mil.
You had to pick one to lead your Cleveland Browns. Who you going to grab?
Pick as far as who?
Between Geno and Joe.
Oh, no. Burrow. I mean, Burrow, no doubt. But it's just one of those that I don't think. I guess it sounds like I'm saying Geno is up there with those guys. He's not. But like statistically, it is weird. It's telling a different story.
So,
by the way, just to be clear, Burrow, and Burrow. And then if I can't have Burrow, I'll just resign. So there we go.
So for me, and I know we're going to get to this because some of the comments that Bart Scott had, like there is definitely a line where the elite starting in, the good starting in, the average starting in, and the rest are. I think Geno is in that average quarterback realm.
KB.
So what is that number, I guess?
Well, I'll have to. I mean, I don't have any of that. We'll just do that live on the air. We'll just start to decipher who's like. We'll have the listeners help us because I think so. I'll play the audio from him in a moment, but there are 3 elite quarterbacks. Do you believe there's only 3 elite quarterbacks?
We can. Yeah, that's fair. That's
so
fair.
What we're talking about here is be thinking about this during the commercial. Sorry about that. Be thinking about this during the commercial break. We didn't get to the draft stuff. I want to get back to that. We will. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but Bart Scott on a show earlier today had some interesting thoughts. Like he likes Jalen Hurts. He likes Jalen Hurts a lot, but he was kind of questioning everyone as far as why we are jumping on the Jalen Hurts being a superstar train. In fact, he had this to say about Jalen Hurts. So listen to this, and we'll talk about this on the other side.
In this league, too often, we confuse good with star with superstar. It is only 3 superstar quarterbacks in this league. It's Allen, Burrow, and Mahomes. Everybody else are to a certain extent, is a product of a system. Jalen Hurts is not a superstar. And if Philadelphia decides to pay him like he's a superstar, you have to capitalize early on in the first couple of years of a big extension because you have to start saying goodbye. Amari Cooper is not there because Dak Prescott contract is. So that means he has to overcome and make Gallup a great player.
So be thinking about that during the break. There's only 3 elite level superstar quarterbacks, Burrow, Mahomes, and Josh Allen. For one, do you agree with that? And the second part to that is if those are the only elite superstar quarterbacks in the NFL, how do you categorize the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL? That's something to think about. But 518-1410 or head to Facebook, the Justin Kinder Show Facebook page, or ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. You can jump in the conversation right there. But, yeah, we'll be right back. The Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming up next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Science proves quality sleep is vital to your mental, emotional, and physical health. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses your movements and automatically adjusts to help keep you both effortlessly comfortable. And it's temperature balancing, so you stay cool. So you're at your best for yourself and those you care about most. Life-changing sleep, only from Sleep Number. And now save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed Queen, only $19.99, plus special financing, only for a limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code APP70 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code APP70. Use code APP70 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
WYNG 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
It's officially tax season, by the way. Tax preparation, accounting, and payroll. Michael Maxwell at Arrowhead Tax Service has you covered. He gives back to the community with every paid tax return, of course. And, of course, you can send him all of your information with the Taxes to Go app to make it seamless, pain-free. 25% off to all military veterans and first responders. Michael Maxwell says he takes all the stress out of tax season. Locally owned. Call for a free estimate. Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service. Give him a call, 543-5770. It's located at 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle. And you can also check him out for more information at arrowheadtaxservice.com. We appreciate Michael Maxwell. He takes care of all of our taxes. My wife and I, Kev, takes care of Keith Fires. He takes care of everyone here at the station. Very good dude. He'll take care of you.
Above board.
Yes, exactly. So I have no clue what I'm doing with any of my taxes. So everything they send me, I just say, here, Michael, do your thing.
So I have a real good friend who I refer to Michael because he has two jobs. He's a realtor and he has, his regular 9 to 5. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to do my taxes myself. And I said, dude, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's like, why would you do it yourself? You're not a professional. Have a professional do it for you. It's like, man, I'm going to save some money. I was like, well, you could save some money and do it wrong. Pay a little money and have it done correctly and have nothing to worry about. I was like, would you let a non-professional cut your hair? Would you let a non-professional?
Everyone's looking at me like Pinner does.
Would you let a non-professional sell you a house? You want a professional. get a professional, Michael Maxwell. He got you.
There you go. Again, one more time, Michael Maxwell, Arrowhead Tax Service, 113 West Jefferson Street in New Carlisle. Arrowhead Tax Service. Visit arrowheadtaxservice.com, and you can also call and get your free estimate today, 543-5770. Give them a call. All right, hour 2. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Talking Out Loud with Sully, presented by Timothy's Bar and Grill, will be coming up immediately following our show. Instant reaction to last night's tough loss on the road against Rhode Island, and it was the first time the Flyers had a chance to go up against their former coach and Archie Miller. Archie Miller, of course, left Dayton to take the Indiana job. Didn't have a lot of success there. Sat out for about 10 months after getting let go from Indiana. Did some media, did some TV, and then I took the Rhode Island job in the offseason. And not off to the best. I mean, that cupboard was bare when he took over Rhode Island. He's not having the best season, but you know what? Regardless of what happens the rest of the way for Archie, I think he's going to feel pretty good about getting a win over Dayton. Dayton has all the talent in the world, but they are not a very good basketball team right now. So, yes, they're still trying to get healthy and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, there's not a lot of A-10 teams that have 2 NBA players running up and down in the post. So, I get there's a lot of excuses to be made, but it's fair for those UD fans who are becoming a little impatient. And it's also nice about UD is you have a lot of fans that support no matter what. Just to be clear, I think the one thing that people forget is people always think that when you're being critical, that's your way of saying fire somebody, or that's your way of saying I don't support this team. I think you could still be critical of the team you follow and it not have to automatically equal I don't like Dayton. I don't like Anthony Grant. I want him fired. It doesn't equal that. It just means, hey, I have expectations for my team and they're not living up to it. It doesn't mean you're not a fan anymore, that you're not going to go to games anymore or not support them. It doesn't mean you're a hater. But I also get tired of that, of, when this team isn't playing well, that I always feel like I'm not allowed to point that out because I just get bashed for it. But that's not good. You losing to George Washington, you can have an off day. But you've lost to 2 bad teams in back-to-back games, and this is a roster that has NBA players on it. This is a roster that's coached by a former, national coach of the year. Like, this is a good basketball team, and if we're going to give them all the praise coming in, then I do believe it's fair to have a little criticism when things aren't going well. But season's not over. Thing is, they could have won last night. That win wouldn't have meant anything, and I don't think last night's loss means anything other than it causes people to panic. At the end of the day, you still have to win those couple days in March when we get to the A-10 tournament, but not a good little run right here for the Flyers.
No, sure. Not at all. And it's been some difficult times for our basketball teams, not only in the city, but the whole state of Ohio. Ohio State's not playing good basketball. Right? State's been bad. So UD's been bad right now. Yep. So it's been some bad basketball going on for all the teams that we follow here in town. But speaking about Archie Miller, see, the difference between college sports and professional sports is nobody on that roster was here when Archie Miller was here. But you know who is? The fans. Yep. We're still here. We remember all the cool things that Archie did, all the great things him and his team accomplished here. So we still hold on to that animosity of him leaving and going to a quote unquote bigger program. So I'm just curious, because I didn't get a chance to check out any of the post-game interviews or read anything about it. I'm sure he was asked about how does it feel to beat the UD Flyers, your former team. And I'm sure coach was a professional. It was just great to get a win. We've been struggling. I'm sure that's the rhetoric that he talked, but deep down inside, I'm sure he was thinking something else.
No, this was the quote from Archie Miller.
You got it?
He goes, it was nice to remind those guys who's boss. Quote Archie Miller. No, he did it. He did it.
Whenever that return
he's not the Bengals. He don't talk smack. I'm just saying.
I know you said they're not coming to UD Arena this year, but I'm assuming they'll be coming next year. How crazy you think is going to be in there when he returns?
I can't tell with Flyer fans because there's a good pocket of, and again, I always base everything off social media. Archie's he's the worst. I mean, how people didn't expect him to leave. I was amazed at how many people actually thought he was going to be a lifer here. When people say that about AG, I believe that he's an alum.
Right.
He's coached at, he was in the NBA, came back. It just feels right that he'll be here for a while. But with Archie, I've always felt like it was just to come here, build that resume up, and boom, pop back up. I don't know how long, if he has success at Rhode Island, I don't think he's going to be a lifer at Rhode Island either. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. Sean Miller's the name, by the way. When we talked about his brother, Sean Miller, at Xavier, it's kind of cool seeing him go back to Xavier too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And Xavier, he's turned Xavier around very, very quickly. Xavier's a very good basketball, program, yes, but team this year for sure. And, if the Holtman thing at Ohio State doesn't ever work out. I know Archie used to be the name that you heard a lot for Ohio State. Sean could be one that you keep an ear and eye out for that Buckeye job if it ever opens up. But nonetheless, so what's that?
I'll tell you at the break.
Oh, man.
It's one of those.
Well, we opened up the show in hour one. Talking NFL draft, Mel Kiper has CJ Stroud as the first quarterback taken off the board in his very first Mel Kiper mock draft 1.0 for the 2023 NFL draft. Mel Kiper had a lot to say about the development of not the development of CJ Stroud, but why he believes CJ Stroud will be the first quarterback taken off the board. I know we played it earlier, but take a listen. Mel Kiper on CJ Stroud and why he has him going or being the first quarterback taken off the board in this draft.
Well, it changed up a bit. You talk to 12 teams, you get maybe a ton of different opinions. You know, you can't get a consensus, Greeny. And I think when you look at it, who was the most consistent over the last 2 years? Granted, he had a lot of help around him. It was pitch and catch in a lot of games. But when it wasn't pitch and catch, the Georgia game, as you mentioned, Greeny, he showed with his legs what he could do, how he could see the field when he was flushed out of the pocket, his consistency from game to game. Now, the Northwestern game, the wind, the rain, throw that out. But I think the fact of the matter is his size, the way he throws accurately to all levels, that Georgia game in particular stood out the way he could move around and beat the defense with his legs when he needed to. CJ Stroud could end up being the first quarterback off the board, certainly in mock 1.0. I want to shake it up a bit. If you got three that are equal, you get all these opinions. I put Stroud as the top quarterback coming off the board.
Three that are equal. That's the one thing about his in that soundbite that kind of caught my attention. If three are equal, but we talked about in the first hour, CJ Stroud, what it would mean to go to the Houston Texans. That's who Mel Kiper has CJ Stroud being selected by with that number 2 overall pick. He has Will Levis going at number 5 to Seattle. So we got us talking about the Seattle Seahawks and the situation with Geno Smith. And it's interesting. You start breaking down the numbers. Geno Smith, his numbers, he threw for 220 less yards on the season than Joe Burrow. He threw 5 less touchdowns on the season than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is being listed, according to Bart Scott, and by the way, I don't disagree with him, as one of the only 3 elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow. And I'm like, the Seahawks might be moving on and drafting, Geno, 32 years old, but you have Lockett, you have elite wide receivers with Metcalf, and you just got Walker, the running back from Michigan State that's been dominant in his rookie year. They have all of these weapons. You could extend Geno Smith, add offensive linemen, build up that defense, and have a contender, already a very good team this year. Or you can reset the quarterback clock, draft Will Levis to CJ Stroud or whoever, and have even more resources. And that's what led us to the conversation about, the tiers of quarterbacks in the NFL. Here's Bart Scott real quick to kind of reset this a little bit. Bart Scott, in response to all the people talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, right away, already reports coming out that they will take care of Joe Burrow this offseason. He's already due for an extension. The Bengals, there's no question marks about Joe Burrow. They know he's the guy. It's more of, okay, well, what's it going to take to get this extension done? Bada bing, bada boom, off you go. But the same things are being said about, obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I think people forget that Jalen Hurts was also taken in that very same draft. The Eagles moved up into the first round to get him. Remember, they traded up. It wasn't just that they selected another quarterback after having success with Carson Wentz. It's that they traded up into the first round to take Jalen Hurts.
Second round.
Oh, they traded back?
No, yeah, they traded up in the second
round.
Up
into the second round. My apologies. Either way, the point was they traded up, and that created a lot. But that same draft was the draft that Burrow came out in as well. And the Eagles are having that same conversation. This is what ESPN's Bart Scott had to say about Jalen Hurts and the Eagles on ESPN's Get Up.
In this league, too often, we confuse good with star with superstar. It is only 3 superstar quarterbacks in this league. It's Allen, Burrow, and Mahomes. Everybody else are to a certain extent, is a product of a system. Jalen Hurts is not a superstar. And if Philadelphia decides to pay him like he's a superstar, you have to capitalize early on in the first couple of years of a big extension because you have to start saying goodbye. Amari Cooper is not there because Dak Prescott contract is. So that means he has to overcome and make Gallup a great player.
So lots to, pull apart there, but the part about the 3 elite quarterbacks or superstar quarterbacks, basically saying that those guys, and I've always said this, if you're going to pay your quarterback max dollars, you better be confident that when you pay him those max dollars, that you're not going to be able to provide him with all the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
There's some quarterbacks that need as many weapons around them as possible to maximize their efforts. So if you take those weapons away, can they elevate talent around them? Can they, hone in on one guy to elevate everyone else? Like what we're seeing with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce after losing Tyreek Hill. Can you count, if we're going to give him all that money, can we still flow? Can we still win? Can we still go? Then there's guys like Dak Prescott where we give him all the money. We have to pull pieces away. Who's he elevating? He's not elevating anybody. Good quarterback, not great. That's why teams have to be careful with this. Well, the market says he's due for this. Yeah, well, you got to make sure that if you give him that money, are you sure you can continue winning at a high level? The Ravens, you give, Lamar Jackson all of that money. Are you confident that who already we haven't provided him weapons? Now we won't have any resources to give him weapons. Are we confident if we give him that max contract that we can continue winning at this level? That's the holdup there, in my opinion. That's a holdup with a lot of teams. That's why the Bengals are so quick to get this contract done, because they know they have the guy that they can win with no matter what. That's why the Bills took care of Josh Allen right away. They knew they had the guy that was going to take care of him no matter what. Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl. It's easy. Everyone feels good, but they took care of him the second that they could.
Mm-hmm.
That's why those three, it's not a surprise that those three teams took care of their guys right away. And then there's the Ravens dragging their feet with Lamar. Then there's the Cowboys, who was like pulling teeth. How many how many options do they have to use on deck?
2.
So it's going to be interesting to see what the Eagles believe, because right now it's easy to be Jalen Hurts. You have all this weapon around you. You have the great defense on the other side. We pay Jalen Hurts. We lose weapons on defense. You might lose an A.J. Brown. Who's Jalen Hurts without A.J. Brown and these elite weapons? Who's Lamar? Who's, so-and-so? That's going to be the big thing. So it's tough to tell who those superstar quarterbacks are and then who's just those guys that are benefiting from those around them. It's tough to decipher that.
It definitely is, man. I mean, we can do the exercise right quick in the AFC East. Josh Allen, I think we both agree, elite. But then you immediately go to a question mark about Tua. Where's Tua? Is he in the good category? Is he in the average category? Then you go to Mac Jones. He had a good rookie year. Took a step back this year. Is he good or is he average? I would say average. What would you say?
So we have what categories do we have? Elite, good, and average?
Elite, good, average, bad.
Fair. So I didn't have anything pre-written down for this because I'm just kind of just shooting the blank here. So elite at the AFC East, we'll add Josh Allen. Okay, that's pretty simple. And just for, shoots and gigs, let's go ahead and just give us a little music in the background. It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to give us a little NFL music in the background. All right, so the AFC East, Kev, Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, we put him in that elite category. If you're just joining us, elite, good, average, bad. We're trying to decipher who are these elite quarterbacks, good, average, and bad quarterbacks in the NFL. So next up, Tua. Man, that's fringe. I saw a lot of good from him though this year, but again, it's easy to say that. But if you have to sign that contract extension, which he's due for that as well, he also was in that same draft with Burrow and Jalen Hurts. I think that he's on the verge of being considered average, but I'm going to put him in that good category. There was a stretch where they were an elite offensive team when he was healthy before the concussions started really kind of messing with the rhythm of that team. Tyreek Hill obviously elevated him, which is good. You have to, so I'm going to put him in that good category for now, but I don't blame anyone who says average. What about you?
I'm a hater. I'm going to put him in average simply because of his first 2 seasons in the NFL were very average. Obviously the Tyreek Hill addition took the team to a next level. So I'm going to go with average. And I can't help but to think about the concussion situation. So I'm going to put him in the average category.
All right. So we have, again, elite, good, average, and bad. And Josh Allen, elite. And then obviously Tua, I have as good, but you have as average. So either way in between there don't matter. But nonetheless, interesting. All right. So next up,
we got Mac Jones. New England Patriots.
Man, I said Tua was fringe good, fringe average. I think Mac Jones is fringe average, fringe bad. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because they did not do him any favors as far as the coaching staff was concerned of offense. I mean, you had defensive guys leading the offense. It made no dang sense. I'm going to give Mac Jones the benefit of the doubt and put him in the average category, but I really want to put him in the bad, but I'm not there yet.
I'm going to go average as well. He had a good rookie season, but he hasn't shown enough to even be remotely thought about to be in the good category. So I'm going to go with average. I'll be nice today.
The Jets, I feel like incomplete just because we don't know. Yeah, that just whoever it is, it's bad. All right, let's skip the North because that's the fun one. Let's go to the South. Let's go to the AFC South. And a lot of incompletes here, though. That's the problem.
The dirty South, AFC South. We got Trevor Lawrence leading the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were 9 and 8. Where would you put him?
I'm going to put him in the good category. He's not elite yet. I think this is where Burrow was a year ago, before the Super Bowl run. The Super Bowl run made him elevate him into that great elite category. But I would have had Burrow in that good category a year ago at this time. But I'm going to put I'll put Trevor Lawrence in the good category for right now.
I want to say average because I want to look at both seasons. This season was obviously very good. Last season, his rookie season, was bad. A lot of things going on, excuse making and all that. But I will go with good because I like what I saw from him versus the Kansas City Chiefs and in that second half in that first wild card game where after he threw 4 interceptions. So I'm going to go with the good. I'm going to go with good with young Trevor Lawrence.
Colts, we don't really know.
I mean, Colts, Titans, Texans, they can all just go directly to bad.
But Ryan Tannehill was given an extension. I'm gonna put him in. Well, we have to use Ryan Tannehill. He's paid. He's their quarterback. He's at least been there for multiple years. I say bad. But
bad.
Like he was average.
He was
with
very bad this
AJ
year.
Brown, but you took AJ Brown away from him, and then he looked bad. He didn't elevate anybody. So
Yeah,
I think
he was bad, and I've been a defender of his, but he was very bad this season. Their whole quarterback room was bad. I mean, Joshua Dobbs, who was on the Cleveland Browns practice squad, played better football than he did. So I'm gonna just all three of those teams bad.
By the way, played better football, and it still wasn't good football. That's right there. Okay, on to the AFC West. This is where it gets interesting. We'll start with the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson. Definitely no longer elite. Is he good, average, or bad, Kev?
Well, this can't be a career achievement situation because if we're going to go career, we'll definitely, I think everybody say, yeah, he's a good NFL quarterback. He had a good career, but he was very horrible this past season. He was worse than horrible. They had the lowest points per game average by any team in the NFL. It's bad. He was bad. So he's bad.
I'll put him in bad. I was willing to go average, but it was bad. It's not like he didn't have any weapons. In fact, people talked about the fact they were Super Bowl. They were one of the Super Bowl favorites coming in because of all the great weapons he had, and now all of a sudden he has no weapons. You know, they were getting better heading into this season with Russell Wilson. So everyone just thought, oh man, they've been showing improvement. Now he's going to come in and elevate them. And then all of a sudden it's like you had these great weapons and now they're bad. Well, you have to blame him for that. I'll put Russell Wilson in the bad category as well. All right. The Kansas City Chiefs. Let's just
next.
Yep. Patrick Mahomes. I think he's pretty good. He's pretty good. The Las Vegas Raiders. We don't know. They're an incomplete right now because they don't really have a quarterback. Justin Herbert with the Chargers.
I'm going to go with good, even though first time in the playoffs, he was the quarterback of a team that had a 27-point lead and still lost, but I'm going to still go with good because those type of things happen. So
I'm going to put Herbert in the good category as well. However, I do believe he has elite level stuff. I think if you flip flop, I don't think Burrow makes the Chargers better, by the way, because I think the things that are holding Herbert back will hold any quarterback back. And I think coaching has a lot to do with it. I firmly believe it's coaching. But Herbert, throw for throw, skill, as far as this overall skill, and you could ring the bell, but let's not. I mean, he had no weapons.
Mm-hmm.
He had, I think there was a stretch of like 3 or 4 games where he had all undrafted wide receivers playing for him because even the backups to the elite number 1 guy.
Giving guys opportunities.
My goodness. So I'm going to put Herbert in the good category, but I'm telling you, if Herbert had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and that defense on the other side healthy too, I think Herbert would be in that elite category. I'm going to say good. I'm not going to over defend him, but I think he has what it takes to be elite. Let's just put it that way.
I know Derek Carr is on his way out of the Las Vegas, but where would you put Derek Carr?
I would have put him that fringe average good. He was average this year, though.
Definitely.
Average this year, but last year I thought he was good. I would have said good last year, but average this year.
Yeah, I'm the same way. He would be borderline good average for me as well. NFC.
Well, no, let's go back to the AFC. We'll
yeah.
Unless you want the NFC.
No. We can go ahead and get this over with.
Lamar Jackson.
Good. Still good. He was elite in college. He was elite when he was playing with the Texans. Very rough situation. Obviously, all the off-the-field situation. 700 days off from playing football. Didn't look like Deshaun Watson. I'm looking at Deshaun Watson to have a crazy year next year. Crazy year. So I'm going to say good still.
Lamar Jackson, I put in the good category as well. Mainly when you start looking up at how these categories are breaking out, I look at Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. Now There's obviously gaps between those guys even, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence, very good quarterback. Lamar is better than Trevor Lawrence, but Lamar's still not elite. None of these guys are elite. I think he's fine being in that good category as far as that's concerned. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson. I think he is a very hard one to figure out. I'm going to put him in that same category with Justin Herbert, where you can almost make a sub-good category.
Exactly.
Because I think Tua's ceiling is good. I don't think he'll ever be elite. I think Tua, he's a very good quarterback. I think Lamar, we don't know until he has weapons. But I think Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson are on the verge of being great. Like, we've already seen Deshaun be great. Deshaun was a great quarterback, an elite quarterback just a few years ago. I think he still has that in him. He's 27 freaking years old. But based on this last year, I'm going to say average. To be fair, he had an average year with the Browns, but he only played 6 games. But I think he's a good quarterback. I think he has what it takes to be elite. I'm going to keep it in the good.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's still good. Like I said, missed 700 days of playing football. And we'll talk about Lamar as well, but I think that Watson could be the best quarterback in the NFL. I truly believe that. I think he's just that talented.
Because he could do all the stuff we say about Mahomes, that was Watson as well. Elite with his arm and elite with his legs. He doesn't not like the legs like Lamar. Like Lamar he elevates that. Watson was just very good at just extending plays. Lamar, you can literally build a whole offense around his legs, but Watson was good, just like Patrick Mahomes too, just kind of navigating out of the pocket, just making these crazy throws on the run. That was Watson. I think he could be elite, but he's in the good category for right now but he did look average for the Browns, to be fair, in his run. Joe Burrow is elite with obviously Josh Allen and Mahomes, right?
Agreed.
I still want to see him. To be fair, I need to see him when he was without when he was without Jamar, he was good. He wasn't elite. But 4-game sample size, I'm not going to let that erase what he's done with everyone for the last 2 years now. So I'm not going to bash on him too much. I'm not bashing on him at all. But the difference is we've seen Patrick Mahomes remain elite while losing weapons. Josh Allen has never had as many weapons as Joe Burrow has had, and Josh Allen developed into an elite quarterback. Joe Burrow's had an embarrassment of offensive weapons since he came not came in initially, but he had T and Boyd right away. But who is Burrow without weapons? We don't know yet. So we know, though, he can maximize everyone around him. That's all that matters. But I'm going to put an asterisk next to his eliteness because I saw 4 games without Jamar Chase. Yes, he threw all over Pittsburgh, but he also had 3 bad teams in that 4-game stretch that he did not. He looked very just okay. Threw for 220, a touchdown. He didn't extend drives. They were coming up flat a lot. They won, but I'm just saying, I'm going to say elite, but asterisk next to it because, I just couldn't get to a whole thing without coming across as a hater. But I don't think I'm stretching that too far. All right, Kenny Pickett.
Bad.
You don't think average?
16 points a game, man. 16 points a game, man. It just ain't gonna get it done, dude.
But is that a result of can you drop
16 points, Kenner?
So I know these elite quarterbacks could go to Pittsburgh with Matt Canada, those same weapons, and get a little more out of it. But I think a lot of QBs would take a step back with Matt Canada and the no offensive line thing.
Yeah, but I saw Joe Burrow go to the Super Bowl with no offensive line. So I'm
going to put Pickett as average. I like Pickett as average, but
it's got to be more than, oh, man, he drove the length of the field to score a touchdown on the last drive of the game. You did that back-to-back weeks. There's a ton of other drives you could go ahead and score a touchdown on, buddy. There's a ton of them out there. You can't win games in this league consistently 16-13. And you notice those games are versus the Ravens because the Steelers-Ravens games are always like that. Yep. You saw what happened in his first start when he went up to Buffalo. They got ran out the gym. It looked like UNLV versus Duke back in 91. Not going to happen, man. Bad. So if it's Matt Canada, if it's Coach Tomlin, if it's the bad offensive line, hey, he's the quarterback. If they turn it around, he's going to get all the glory for it. But if they don't, he got to hold all the L. So bad.
Fair enough. The only reason I put him in average is because he got better. as the season went on.
Because he was god-awful versus the Jets, where he turned the ball over 3 times in 2.5 quarters.
So that's the only reason I put him at average is because the trajectory was there. Now, if he was second year in the league and then got better towards the end of the second year, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. But if he picks up where he left off, then he's going to be bad. But hopefully he could build on that. Actually, not hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm going to put him in the bad category with Joe Burrow. How about that? David Greenshield said, Justin, you are being a hater. I'm not. Because of my persona on this show, I'm going to be labeled a hater for that. But I don't think I'm that far off in saying we just don't know. And this isn't Burrow's fault. Burrow has had every weapon imaginable since coming to the league, so we don't know what he looks like without those guys. People bring up the rookie year, and all that stuff. They weren't winning football games. Like they weren't a good football team. High volume thrower because they weren't good. Joe Burrow's very, very good, and he's elite right now. But I need to see what he does. Does he, can he carry teams when he doesn't have everything around him? He doesn't have a defense to back him up and all that stuff.
So obviously, all the talking heads do the comparison to him to Tom Brady. But yeah, exactly. Way too early for that. But what if he does that? What if the Bengals fans are right? What if he does the unthinkable and says, yeah, just pay me $20 million a year instead of my $45-50 million a year? Will you slit your wrist?
Man. For one, because I'm going to hate that I've always said I will always love an athlete that does that puts the tits. That's why I love Tim Duncan. I've always been a Tom Brady fan because of that. I would give Burrow major props because athletes, all we do is label them, not Kev and not necessarily me, but when I say we, like society, they're just money hungry dudes and blah, blah, blah. And it's easy for us to call them that when we would do the same thing. So, let's just be real. Boss comes to me and says, all right, Kenner, we're going to give you this major raise, but if we do this, we have to get rid of Kevin. I'll be like, so I won't have a co-host anymore. Okay.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
But no, so I would give him major props. I don't think he's going to do that, but not I mean the 20, but I just don't see that. Every report coming out, by the way, Jeremy Fowler, everyone said that all these reports coming out that Burrow's camp is already working on a major extension that's pretty high. So I'd be shocked. But Fowler and Pelissaro and all these NFL analysts have come out that their sources have already said that he's going to reset the quarterback market. So if you got mad at Watson, be mad at your dude too. But here's the thing, Bengals fans. You're not allowed to get mad at him if he does do that. He's allowed to do that. He's earned it. My God, you're the Bengals, and he's made you relevant in January, back-to-back years. If there's any quarterback in the NFL that deserves that money, it is definitely Joe Burrow at that point. But
if he does that, if he, obviously, if he takes anything less than 35, I'll be blown away. And I'll be perfectly upset. I'll be mad because I know what's going to happen. They're going to go on a run because he's not paid a ton of money. Well, he's paid a ton of money, but he's not paid up there with the rest of the elite quarterbacks. He's wouldn't be making 40 and 45 like everybody else. So that would leave the Bengals a lot of wiggle room to sign other guys. So Joe, get every dollar you got to get, man.
And by the way, if he takes 45 and not 50, that's really not taking a major discount. What that's doing is allowing to keep Chase. I could see the Bengals saying, hey, if Chase wants 30, and by the way, why is that fair? Why should Joe Burrow take less so that Chase can get everything that he had? Like, the one thing about the San Antonio Spurs was that Parker always took, it wasn't like everyone gave credit to Tim Duncan. It wasn't just Tim Duncan. There was multiple seasons where Tony Parker could have reset the point guard market. And Ginobili, that's the thing that doesn't, like, Tim Duncan gets the credit for everything that, he took less to keep those guys around. Well, they returned the favor. They said, well, because you took less for me to get mine, I'm not going to take everything that I can get either. So it was a trickle-down effect, trickle-down economics. That was the San Antonio Spurs. Is that the Cincinnati Bengals?
Happened with the
Miami Heat. Bunch of liberals,
too. Happened with the Miami Heat, too, when LeBron and Bosh signed there. They all, and signed up with Wade, they all took less than what they could have got so they could sign more guys on the team. Ultimately, it worked out to get two championships.
That's why I always praised LeBron back then. Everyone said, I can't believe he left Cleveland. He's so selfish. I'm like, hold up. You guys back then used to hate on Kobe and every elite athlete out there because Kobe did, after not getting the max dollar for many, many decades, his last contract ever, he took everything that came to him. Now they couldn't put pieces around him, and everyone blamed Kobe. He's like, hold up. I was a part of two dynasties. Two different rosters, two different dynasties.
I'm gonna need that bag.
I think he earned it he deserved that. I understood that. But, if players are selfish because they take it all, then how is LeBron selfish for not taking it all? Anyways, it always was moving to the goalpost. Okay, good stuff. That was the AFC. Now, what about the NFC? We'll be right back. It's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be cloudy with some snow showers, a high near 34. Tonight's going to be cloudy with a chance of snow showers, a low near 22. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy, also with a chance of snow showers, a high near 40. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane. 98% of their customers recommend Cullet. If you wouldn't recommend your current supplier, check them out at culletpropane.com.
You wouldn't climb the Rockies with just one boot. You wouldn't go in a rainstorm with half an umbrella. And you wouldn't go through a car wash with your convertible roof half closed. But if you haven't gotten the updated booster, you're only partly protected from COVID-19. It works against Omicron and the latest variants. That's especially important if you're over 65. So get the new booster and get fully protected. A message from the Ohio Department of Health.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Deb's constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating kept giving her grief. She talked to her doctor to get some relief. Deb had irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, which was a start. Saying yes to Linzess helped her do her part.
Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2 years old. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
We talked about Dayton Flyers earlier. Wright State, the Raiders, back in action tonight at the Nutter Center. They have Milwaukee coming to town. And Kev, you alluded to it a little bit ago. College basketball in Ohio, for us around here, is not very good. Wright State has not had a very good year. They've regressed. They've taken a step back, not as a program, but just this roster is not. It's not. I mean, look, this to have the two do like Tanner Holden, as we had Adam Jardy, who covers the Buckeyes on the hardwood early in the week. He covers Ohio State basketball with Columbus Dispatch, and he has said as of now, Tanner Holden, who transferred there from Wright State, has just not lived up to what they were hoping. But he did say, to be fair to him, the expectation was, according to Chris Holtman, was that they brought him in with the idea of knowing that he wasn't going to be a big-time contributor right away, but they anticipated him progressing and being better by the time they got to March and all that. Now, whether March has a NCAA tournament visit in it or not, we don't know yet, but definitely he should have stayed at Wright State. Actually, no, I need to stop saying that. No, the dude got a nice little NIL deal to go to Ohio State. Good for you, Tanner Holden. My goodness, but obviously, by the way, Kev, growing up, I was to tell you that you can go to a Big Ten program and average 6 points a game. That's pretty. That's what are we doing here? No one ever said Tanner was going to the NBA.
Right.
At his peak at Wright State, no one said he was going to the NBA. So I don't know, man. You had a great mid-major career, and you cap it off with averaging 5 to 7 points in the Big Ten for the Buckeyes, and you get a nice little NIL check. Good for him. I'm not hating on him, but I do hate that he's not here.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the flip side, you got Grant Baselli, who went to Virginia Tech, who was balling. You know what I'm saying?
He's who I thought would struggle.
He's averaging 14 and like 10 a game, or 14 to 6 a game.
14-10.
There you go.
There we go. It's Baselli radio. No, but he of the two, when they both announced that they were leaving, I just remember different guys I was texting around that program. They thought Holden would make it, and Baselli would regress. And Baselli just. But he's a near 7-footer that could shoot the three and has the strength to bat. I still think he's not better than Deron Holmes. I'm definitely not dumb enough to say he's stronger than Deron Holmes. My God, Deron has no strength. My gosh, if you sneeze on him, he's going to fly backwards. But to be fair, that's not his game. Deron Holmes shouldn't be. Deron Holmes has had to do a lot more backing down of defenders this season than he should be, because they just don't have the, he doesn't have that. Like Obi benefited. By the way, Jalen Crutcher, if he's not on that Dayton Flyers team, Obi's not in the NBA, or at least not drafted as high as what he was. He's in the NBA, but he wouldn't have been drafted as high. Obi would not have been as good at Dayton if it wasn't for Jalen Crutcher. That's just my hot take. You all can do it that way you please. But Obi's job was easy because of Jalen Crutcher. To be fair to Deron Holmes, who's that guard that's elevating him?
Right.
Malachi Smith, another hot take. You ready for this? I don't think he's as good as what people were anticipating. I know he's been banged up and injured, but like when he's on that floor, that offense, it just
I go on the other side. When he got hurt in the A-10 tournament, they were up. They were up by a substantial margin, and the offense was flowing. It was doing what it did. And then he went out, and it went downhill. So I'm going to chalk it up to him getting back into game shape and getting his rhythm back right now.
So beyond agree, because that was the only thing. You take him off that floor, that whole team just stopped moving. But then this year, when he started the season, they had multiple games in the 50s and 60s, including when he was playing in that game against Wisconsin, when they lost like 46-45.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't even get into the 50s, and that's with him. Now they defensively held Wisconsin to 40-something points. That was just that set basketball back a few decades. But then he left, and then the offense picked up. Then they're in the upper 60s and 70s. And then Deron Holmes and Tamani Kamara are dominating. And now they're pummeling teams. And it looked like Anthony Grant had got them back. And then these guys have come back. And now it's back to that very slow pace, slow tempo. What I did like that Anthony Grant did last night is he didn't start Malachi. Not because of what I'm saying, but because there's a minutes restriction on him.
Right.
So let's say you do start him and they get off to a kick-ass start and it's a close game, but you got to limit his minutes and take him out. To be fair to Malachi, with my hot take that I just had there, I think the other part of that is the offense can't get in any kind of rhythm because there's a minutes restriction, and that like plays a role of when do you play him? How long do you play him? The timing of which, hey, we have to stick to this 20-minute window. And if we're tight, it's like that Michael Jordan, when they went to overtime or whatever, and they had to pull him or whatever. I'm not saying it's as tight as that, but they are being very careful because his ankles, their only chance at making a run is hopefully returning to the efficiency that they had with that offense last year. But I understand all the fans that have said they don't look right with him on that floor. They're not wrong, but it may not be for his presence alone. It may be for the minutes restriction that doesn't allow the offense to get going. But something's not right. It just doesn't look right. And I don't know. He wasn't hurt back in the start of the season when they were struggling offensively. He leaves, the offense takes off. He comes back, it shrinks again. Not blaming him necessarily, but there is something different when he's on the floor now. But then you have Sherjamps, who's the freshman, good ball handler, big as hell kid too. He's a string bean, but he's skinny. He's skinny as can be, but he's tall and has a presence on the floor. But he makes freshman mistakes.
Right.
But he at least can stretch the floor. He could shoot the ball. He's, I think coming off ball screens, he can feed the ball down low. But what Deron Holmes is missing is he doesn't have that Scoochie Smith. He doesn't have that Jalen Crutcher. And I think, man, that's what's missing from his game, to where he's just having to rely on pure athletic ability and skill as opposed to getting a lot of his points through the flow of the offense. He did get a few oops last night, though, but nonetheless. All right. We started this on the AFC in the NFL because Bart Scott talking about, Jalen Hurts and talking about, that we get confused a lot of times with what a superstar quarterback is, an elite quarterback versus a good quarterback. We got to stop mistaking good for elite. And it got me to thinking, I'm like, man, Jalen Hurts has had an MVP-like season. He's had a great season, but if, I need to watch him a little more, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I watched every Eagles game this year. I didn't. Is Jalen Hurts elite? Is he in the upper echelon of quarterbacks? He named, Bart Scott said, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, the only 3 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. All 3 of those in the AFC. Are there any elite quarterbacks in the NFC? Well, Kev and I are going through 4 categories. We are listing every quarterback is either elite, good, average, or bad. All right, to summarize, in the AFC, our elite quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Burrow. You agree?
Agree.
My good quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. Do you agree?
I have Lamar, Deshaun, Trevor Lawrence, Herbert.
Average quarterbacks, I have Kenny Pickett, Derek Carr, Mac Jones. You have?
Mac Jones, Tua, Derek Carr.
No Pickett. He hates his quarterback. Bad quarterbacks, Ryan Tannehill, Russell Wilson. What say you?
Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Ryan Tannehill, Wilson, and the Colts and the Texans.
Just Colts, Texans. Okay, I'll make sure I list that. All right, to the NFC we go now. And the NFC, as we sit here right now, we'll start with the NFC North.
Okay.
Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Elite, good, average, or bad?
Why are you doing this to me? Okay.
OH.
Average. Average.
Good for you.
I'm going to go with average. I'm going to be a homer and say average. Obviously, it would be truly incomplete because we just don't know what's going on with the Chicago Bears. This upcoming season will tell us everything we need to know about Justin Fields and his career. I said it ad nauseum about him getting drafted by the Chicago Bears. I didn't want that, but it is what it is. He's there now. So I'm going to go with average because he did do some good things on the football field this season. It didn't translate to a lot of wins for sure.
I say Justin Fields is average as well. I think what we missed, he had a very bad freshman, his bad rookie year. And then much improvement from rookie to this last year, but just because the improvement we saw doesn't necessarily mean that it was elite or even good. Keep in mind, if Justin Fields is going to be a long-term elite quarterback in the NFL, it's not going to be because he's a 1,000-yard rusher.
Right.
So that is a great compliment to his game, but also how many times did he get hit hard and banged up? Like you're not going to sustain that. We watched him pass in college. We know he's an accurate quarterback. We know what he was able to do in college. Is that going to, reflect completely into the NFL? It should. We hope it will. We hope the Bears haven't done too much damage. But for right now, I can't say he's a good quarterback. I need to see what he could do with weapons around him first. I'm not going to say that he didn't elevate anyone around him because he had nobody. There was no one to elevate. Let's just stop with that. They gave him nothing. Not even average guys. Like with Patrick Mahomes and company, you take the tight end away, Scantling and Schuster, like those are guys
still
that
pro receivers.
They're good. Like if Smith had them, if Justin Fields had them, I'm not sure if he would do as good a job with them as Fields or as Mahomes has, but it's one of those where I think we'd still get a better idea of his ability to, pass the ball within a scheme or whatever.
I think a better comparison will be Trevor Lawrence, the guys that they went and got in free agency with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Like those aren't like household names that people are like, oh man, this dude's a superstar. I got to have him on my fantasy team. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Those are competent wide receivers in the NFL. You can't name anybody at a skill position for the Chicago Bears. I know they're tight end because I drafted them because I had nobody else to draft on my fantasy team.
Kirk Cousins.
Good.
You say good. Okay.
I'm going to go with good. I know I'm like the Kirk Cousins hater on this show, but there's no denying what he was able to accomplish this past season. So I'm going to go with good because he's always been above average, but he's officially good.
I have him in that good category as well. Little hesitancy there because he's not bad enough to be average, but he's not good enough to be like, oh my gosh, he's so good.
Right.
But there are a lot worse quarterbacks you could have in this league, and I think Cousins isn't the worst. I mean, there was a stretch last year as a Browns fan where I'm like, I wouldn't mind Cousins in Cleveland. I'll take Cousins in Cleveland at this point. I'm glad we got Deshaun Watson, the quarterback. But I'll put Kirk Cousins in the good category as well. Jared Goff.
Oh, another one. He had a good season, but I'm going to go with average quarterback.
Fair enough. That's where I have him as well, because I would have put him in the bad category coming into this season. So I think it's fair to put him in that average. We've seen good years from him. We've seen bad years from him. I think that puts him in that average category. But if he repeats this season, next season, and maybe elevates it, I think he could be put into that good category. But for right now, Jared Goff is an average quarterback. We both agree
on the high end of average.
On the high, upper, just slightly above average. Aaron Rodgers.
Like I said before with Russell Wilson, this can't be a career achievement award. We can't say, oh, man, he won this many MVPs. He's a former Super Bowl MVP. Remember that throw he made against this team and that team. So with that being said, Aaron Rodgers is still a good quarterback in this league. Still a very good quarterback in this league. I'm going to go with good.
I'm going to still say elite.
Oh.
I'm going to still say elite. I still put Aaron Rodgers in that
risky.
elite category. Back-to-back seasons of winning the MVP, he loses Devontae Adams, and they don't replace him with even an average wide receiver. I mean, that's a bad. I mean, look at that room, and they almost made the playoffs. Still, they beat the Lions in a close game. They're in the playoffs. They may not do anything in there, but I learned my lesson with Tom Brady in his last season with New England. He was aging. He was bad. He was no longer elite. Tom Brady's not good anymore. Tom Brady, his very last pass ever as a New England Patriot was a pick six in the playoffs. Tom Brady then gets weapons in Tampa, and Tom Brady wins an MVP. He's elite. So to me, I still think that's Aaron Rodgers right now. Like, he's not old. He's in the back end of his career, but I still think that elite quarterback is in there with Aaron Rodgers. You give him just good receivers. I think he's still throwing for 45 plus 100 yards in that 25 to 35 touchdown range. I still put him in that elite category. Aaron Rodgers is still an elite quarterback to me. You do have to account for the regression just because of lack of talent around him. But
Fair.
His personality makes him hard to like. His finger pointing gets a little old and annoying.
What about his ponytail?
Cut your hair. Seriously, you're the quarterback, man. Killing you on the boards. All right. So the NFC North, Aaron Rodgers for me is elite. You say good.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, we both said is good.
Correct.
And our two average Justin Fields, Jared Goff.
Yes.
All right, to the NFC South, Atlanta Falcons. Who is their quarterback?
Oh, bad.
Mariota.
Mariota.
I'm going to put Atlanta Falcons just bad in the bad category.
Bad.
Yep. The Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, man. Oh, no, you're in the NFC South. NFC South.
Oh, my bad. The Carolina Panthers.
Bad.
We're just putting this whole division in bad because we don't know who their quarterback is. New Orleans Saints.
Bad.
We don't know who their quarterback is. But, I mean, Andy Dalton. Let's just say Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is what?
Bad.
Bad? All right. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mr. Tom Brady. As of right now, he's still a Tampa Bay Buccaneer for right now.
Good.
Tom Brady.
Good. Still a good quarterback in this league.
I'm going to put him in the good category as well. But see, no, I don't know.
Come on, dog.
I don't know because this is a guy that, like, Tampa had a lot of issues. A lot of
them were him.
A lot of them were him, but, like, that offense, I mean, he does need a good offensive line. Just because Joe Burrow could play without an offensive line doesn't mean that moves the goalpost for everyone else.
True.
Like,
True.
The one thing that is the one reason the Bengals are a great storyline is because we talked about yesterday, they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. They shouldn't be where they're at. They should not be competing where they're at because of that offensive line. But Tom Brady threw for 4,700 yards. I mean, only Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes threw for more yards than he did. I'm going to keep him in good. But
you were about to go elite. I thought you were about to go average.
I'm still telling you, you give him those weapons. I still think he threw for 4,700 yards with no offensive line, no run game. They had a bottom 5 run game in the NFL. You wanted your 45-year-old quarterback to carry the entire offense because they had no run game and no offensive line. I'm just willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because a year ago, he was still throwing at an elite level. The year before that, definitely an elite level. He's fringe elite, fringe good, in my opinion. All good is fair. I'll put Tom Brady in the good category, but I think if he goes somewhere where there's an O-line and some weapons, I think he can put on the elite charade like Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
Where are we going to next?
All right, we'll have to speed this up just a tad. We do have a guest coming up, the beat reporter for the Chiefs. But to the NFC West we go. The Cardinals and Kyler Murray.
Average.
Wow, thank you. That's where I have Kyler Murray as well. I think he's capable. The ceiling is good. I think he can be good. He was an MVP candidate 8 weeks into the season in 2021. That's what's crazy. And then it all went downhill from there. But he has proven he could play with, he could be elevated by weapons around him, but he did not have a very good season this year. The Rams, and we'll just do Baker and Stafford.
Both average.
Baker, I would have put bad if he wouldn't have had that very good stretch with the Rams. He had a good stretch with the Rams, good based on his bar, but average. I'll put Stafford and Baker in the average category. But Stafford, verge good for me. Last year, I thought he had a very good, the step below elite last year. I thought it was a very, very good season. But, you're out, hurt, all that. We'll see what happens. So there's that. The 49ers.
Oh, God.
Let's start with Garoppolo.
Garoppolo average.
Garoppolo is average. I agree with you.
Jimmy G average.
The other, I can't think his name.
Trey Lance,
yes.
I have no idea.
Incomplete. Actually, he's not a quarterback, guys. He's not a quarterback in the league. CJ Stroud. I'd feel better about putting him in any of these before Lance because I don't know who Lance is. No, I'm going to put an incomplete. I'm not going to include Lance.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it's fair to include him because I've literally never seen him play a full game.
I've known nothing about him other than what they hope he becomes. All right, next up on the list, Brock Purdy.
Average. I get, obviously you can't put him in bad, so I guess it's average.
But why average and not good?
That's a good question.
He has all those weapons around him.
It's a good question.
So are we going to punish him for weapons around him? Because I was a hater when I did that to old Burrow.
I tell you what, they beat Philly. He'll be in a good category for sure.
Just so you know, I'm not trolling you. I believe I put him as average as well. But I'm like, I think we're letting the fact that the Mr. Irrelevant thing that we have fun with,
right?
That's keeping me from doing anything with
and
it.
This is like game number 9 or something like that for him.
See, storyline, good storyline or good quarterback. It feels like it's a good storyline, but I mean, at a certain point, he's not. His numbers are very good. He capitalizes on his weapons. He doesn't do it in as efficient as Burrow and these other guys, but if in year 2, who knows? I'm going to keep him an average, but
I'm going to keep him an average too because there's a play in that game versus the Cowboys.
Kev never forgets.
Yes. Diggs dropped an interception. The very next play, Chris McCaffrey scores a touchdown. That's a 7-point swing right there. He threw it right to Diggs. Diggs needed his brother's hands to catch that interception, which he dropped it fair and square. They went and turned around and scored the touchdown. So if they beat Philly, he's definitely going to the good category for me.
Geno Smith.
Average.
Geno Smith, I put in that average category as well. I'm going to put
a lot of average out here.
Geno
in the NFC.
I mean, the NFC is interesting. I have Brad. My friend Brad Mays is listening. He knows I like to beat up on Aaron Rodgers, but Brad, I put Aaron Rodgers in my elite category. Just so you know. Closing it out with the NFC East, Kev. Let's start with Carson Wentz. Bad as well. That's where I have him. But Heineke. Fringe bad average.
Yeah.
But we have to pick one, but it's a light average. I'm going to say average, but it's not.
He's better than Wentz.
Heineke almost beat Tom Brady in the Bucs in the playoffs. I'll give Heineke that.
I'll throw Heineke in the average just because.
An asterisk. I started adding this asterisk thing in there. He's average with an asterisk. Joe Burrow's elite with an asterisk to me. Burrow, I watched him without Jamar Chase, and his numbers went down significantly. And they weren't elite numbers still. So just throwing that out there. But he's an elite quarterback, but asterisk because I haven't seen him without weapons yet. And the small sample size of games we did, I did not like what I saw. So Heineke, asterisk as well. All right, to the Giants, Daniel Jones.
Danny Dimes, average. He's made his way up from bad to average. Congratulations. You'll be getting a $30 million contract, young man.
Started from the bottom.
Now you're
here. All right, the Eagles.
Jalen Hurts, good. Very good.
So you're sold on him.
I always liked Jalen Hurts. Always liked Jalen Hurts. I wanted the Pittsburgh Steelers to draft Jalen Hurts.
That is true. You have been on that train since the very beginning. I thought the offense looked bad last year with them, but he was making plays with his legs like what we're seeing with Justin Fields. Now, to his credit, will Justin Fields grow if they go get him weapons? They gave him A.J. Brown. They gave him all these pieces, and their offense is Sanders, 1,000-yard running back. I mean, it's a well-balanced offense. He's in the good category, but I have it more lean towards he's well above average into the good category, closer to average than he is elite. But again, he still has his two biggest games of his career coming up. You beat the Niners, and then you go on to win the Super Bowl. Oh, I'd put him in that elite category, depending on his role in those games. But I'll put Hurts in the good category as well. And last but not least,
Dakota Prescott.
How whack is Dak? Where is he?
Good. You're a good quarterback. You're a good quarterback, man. On the lower end of the good quarterback realm, but still a good quarterback. Uh-oh.
So, to be fair, when I want to put him in average, but when I look at Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, Jared Goff, but then again, if you could put Kyler Murray in average, I could put Dak Prescott there.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I think Kyler Murray is closer to good than bad. Dak is closer.
Yes, Kyler Murray would be at the top of the average guys.
So, but I'd still take Dak over Kyler Murray. So I'm going to put Dak in the. No, I'm going average. I can't do the good. I can't because it's the same story every year. It's the same story every year.
Is it the ending? It's the ending, right? It's the way these things end because you're a numbers guy. You look at those numbers throughout his career. His numbers are up there with the best of the quarterbacks in the NFL. They win games with him as the quarterback. It's the end. The end happens so bad for the Dallas Cowboys all the time. It doesn't end. And what's worst about it, it ends with them with the ball.
Yes.
It's not the other team driving the length of the field, kicking the field goal or scoring a touchdown for them to lose. And he just has nothing to do with it. He always has the ball last, and something crazy always happened, like Zeke snapping him the ball and them trying some wacky hook and lateral, or him scrambling and not be able to get the ball clocked in time for them to kick a field goal. So I think it's the ending that mushes the cake in Dak's face to push him down to the average category. I can't deny that. Those endings look horrible.
All right. We'll chart these up, and we'll let everyone else be the deciding factor of what they think of these.
So you have 4 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I have 3.
You have 3. Aaron Rodgers is I think closer to good than anything, but I think he's still elite. I think if he had Devontae Adams and did exactly what he did the previous 2 seasons, if we did this segment a year ago, would you have him as elite?
Absolutely.
So that's why Mike, I don't think he fell off a cliff. I just think the roster did. I think the roster did. All right, folks. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash here on 1410 ESPN Radio. When we come back, Adam Teicher, he covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ESPN. We'll get the Kansas City Chiefs view of the build-up to this AFC Championship game. Is it Arrowhead or Burrowhead? We'll talk with Adam next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is officially live in Ohio, right in time for the NFL playoffs. Now you can legally bet on all your favorite sports, anytime and anywhere, right here in Ohio with DraftKings. For a limited time, new customers who sign up with promo code WING1410 and bet $5 or more will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. Now, just because my Pittsburgh Steelers didn't make the playoffs doesn't mean I shouldn't try to make some money with some same-game parlays and player props. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers can use promo code WING1410 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on anything. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code WING1410. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and up. Physically present in Ohio. Valid 1 offer per first-time depositor who have not already redeemed $200 in free bets via pre-launch offer. Minimum $5 deposit and wager. $200 issued as bonus bets. Eligibility restrictions apply. See dkng.co/OH for terms.
Need an online notary? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. We can notarize your documents remotely at no charge to you. All you need is a smartphone or laptop. Visit courthouse2u.com for more info.
Dancing crew, trip for 2, nailed the final interview. Game with Doug, brand new mug. Come here, kid, give me a hug. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. New COVID-19 boosters designed for recent Omicron variants are now available. Learn about eligibility and schedule a free updated booster today at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Confession, I'm a hopeless romantic, and I love a deal. I just went to Kohl's and earned Kohl's Cash, plus got an extra 15% off already great deals, like 60% off a necklace for my mom and 40% off PJs for my daughter. Not to mention, I found myself a fragrance set from Sephora at Kohl's for less than $50. With more gifts and more savings, what's not to love? Select styles. Offers end January 29th. Sephora coupons and Kohl's Cash do not apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Sometimes the best time to prune trees is when they're dormant or with no leaves on them. For ISA certified arborists, it helps them see what branches may need to be pruned or removed. Dormant season pruning can also help lessen problems associated with insects and diseases and help create structurally stronger trees that can better handle heavy wet snows or ice buildup. Contact an ISA certified arborist to get the best professional advice on keeping your trees healthy and safe. Go to treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Cordell Transportation is hiring third shift dispatcher/customer service representatives. Excellent pay, great benefits, no experience necessary, and paid training. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com or stop in today at 2942 Boulder Avenue in Dayton. Equal opportunity employer.
The all-new Chevrolet of Troy is now open. What makes us different? We have a state-of-the-art dealership offering experienced service, parts, and body shop. In fact, we are the only dealership in Miami County with an on-site body shop. That makes it easy for you. With experienced, tenured professionals ready to answer your questions and diagnose your vehicle quickly and efficiently. Our priority is customer service. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first stop for service, parts, and body shop. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Save big money on your next project at Menards. American Standard offers high-quality plumbing fixtures that you can count on. From faucets and shower heads to toilets and more, American Standard has it all. Relax and unwind with a new Whirlpool from Elger. The 10-jack corner massage bathtub offers a spa-like feel. Plus, get a free inline heater with the purchase of any Elger Whirlpool after rebate. Good through February 5th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Wendy's fries are hot and crispy every single time. Natural cut, skin-on fries prepared to golden goodness, perfectly sprinkled with sea salt, just the way they should be. Choose Wendy's hot and crispy fries today.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Coming up on Sunday, Keith Byers, College Football Hall of Famer, former Pro Bowl NFL running back, and myself will be live at Frickers in Miamisburg for the Sunday morning tailgate. Yes, I know the AFC, NFC championship games won't be till later in the afternoon, but we're, of course, out there every Sunday from 11:30 to 1 all the way through Super Bowl Sunday. And we'll be talking about the Cincinnati Bengals in this year's Super Bowl like we were last year. Well, you all know me, big Bengals fan and all, not really. Go Chiefs. But no, I thought that it would be interesting to bring on a reporter that covers the Kansas City Chiefs to give us the Chiefs point of view. We have ESPN's Chiefs reporter, Adam Teicher, joining us now. Adam, we appreciate your time today. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Not too bad. I always say this is always a fun time. It's a bittersweet time of the football season. It's obviously the best time of the football season, but also a reminder that the season's wrapping up quickly. Only 3 games remaining, the NFC and AFC championship game, and then, of course, the big one, the Super Bowl. And one of the big matchups this weekend, of course, the Chiefs and the Bengals. What is it like in Kansas City as the buildup to this game is getting closer and closer? Of course, the Bengals have had the Chiefs number, but the Chiefs rule the NFL. It's such a weird dynamic prepping for this matchup.
Yeah, it is. And, I think there's a lot of, in the town in Kansas City, there's a lot of, I don't know what you want to call it, just sort of, the Bengals have had the Chiefs number, and, this is the team that's given the Chiefs more problems than anybody else. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, but a lot of people are a little bit nervous about this one for sure.
When you say that the Bengals just obviously give them fits more than anybody else, I mean, we kind of know these answers. I mean, we know what makes the Bengals special, but there's a lot of very good offenses in the NFL that the Chiefs have gone up against. But what is it about this Bengals team that they just seem to have their number? And I say that because a lot of times when there's matchup issues or a team has a certain team's number, it's not as if, Adam, that the Bengals have dominated the Chiefs. I mean, this is all these games come down to the final possession. It's almost just like who has the ball last. They haven't dominated the Chiefs, but they have come out on top. What is it about this Bengals team that gives them fits, if you will?
Yeah, all 3 games, have been decided by a field goal, by 3 points, and 2 of them were walk-off field goals, right? Once in the regular season last year, and then the AFC Championship game in overtime last year. So it's been crazy. The Chiefs have not been able to do much. They moved the ball and scored some points early in games, but the fourth quarter has been a real struggle for the Chiefs with the ball. The Bengals have sort of gotten the job done then, and it's just been amazing that, as you guys know, the Bengals have just sort of been the ones that make the plays. They've made the clutch plays to decide these games every time. And, so that's sort of the thing that's unusual about the Chiefs. They're usually the ones against most opponents making these kind of plays. So going to be interesting to see what happens out there on Sunday. But the Bengals have definitely been a problem, no doubt.
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce get all the headlines, but the rookie running back, Pacheco, he brings some physicality to that run game. What does he do different than any of the other running backs that the Chiefs have?
Well, he's a good runner. He's struggled a little bit in other areas of the game. He's not a good pass protector, and so the Chiefs have to take him out. They've got Jerick McKinnon, who comes in on passing downs, and he's been a more reliable player for the Chiefs in that regard. But running the ball, Pacheco's done a nice job. He's given the Chiefs that physical presence, as you mentioned, that they really didn't have with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So Pacheco is kind of that when the Chiefs need to run the ball, he's going to be in the lineup, and he's done a nice job with it.
So I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and you guys got one of our former guys, Juju Smith-Schuster. obviously there's no replacing Tyreek Hill, but what does Juju bring to that offense?
Well, he's more of a possession type guy, although he's kind of made some big plays by running after the catch, but he's been more of a possession guy, got a move the chains kind of guy, kind of a nice compliment to Travis Kelce, if you will, in that regard. The Chiefs really, he's done a nice job. He's done what the Chiefs brought him here for, and that's to give them sort of some versatility in their passing game, and it's definitely happened.
AFC Championship game this Sunday, Bengals and Chiefs, and we have the Kansas City Chiefs reporter Adam Teicher with us here at ESPN, hanging out with us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. As we're getting closer to this, and it's kind of developed into an AFC rivalry a little bit, of course, especially with the Bengals on the come up, on the kind of on the heels of the Chiefs, who have been the feel good story for many, many years, and now obviously Patrick Mahomes has his extension now, and it's interesting seeing the second wave of the moves that the Chiefs have made to kind of keep that team built around them and to sustain the success that they have had. The Bengals are about to kind of verge on that as well. But, the smack talk is starting to increase a little bit as we get closer to this. How does this matchup with the Bengals and Chiefs differ from some of the other matchups, like obviously the Bills and the Chiefs and a lot of top teams? I mean, anytime Tom Brady against the Chiefs, just talk about what this matchup has kind of turned into since it's, Joe Burrow's really arrived.
Well, I mean, it's like we talked about earlier. It's been the matchup the Chiefs just can't win. They've been close and they've had their chances, but the Bengals are the ones who make the plays. So the Chiefs are not really saying much about that this week, but it burns them. They're really this doesn't sit well with them. What's gone on in this rivalry the past couple of years, but. Nobody else has given them these kinds of problems. They certainly lost in a big way to Tom Brady, in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago when Tampa beat them. But they've beaten Brady a number of times. That's a guy who they beat the Bucs pretty handily earlier this season, as a matter of fact. So that's a guy they've had some success. Not in the biggest game, but certainly at times they have. But the Bengals, regular season or playoffs, it's been a real struggle for the Chiefs to get over the hump.
Bengals cornerback Mike Hilton, I guess, has a unique name for the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium. It's not Arrowhead. They keep calling it Burrowhead. ESPN's Ben Baby released this article a little bit ago earlier this afternoon, of course. Bengals, as the Bengals fans like to call them, confident, Adam. They're not cocky. They're confident. What was the Chiefs locker room like? I'm sure there were some questions that referred to this, obviously, that led to this conversation. Was there any response to that?
Yeah, they're not saying much about that. They've kind of tried to downplay that publicly, but it's not going over well in the locker room. And, they feel that it's a little bit of disrespect from the Bengals. And, but you go 3-0 against a team and you've probably earned the right to talk a little bit, and it's, if the Chiefs don't like it, they can do something about it on Sunday. So we'll see if they end up doing that. But, it's some fun stuff that kind of spices things up during the week. But I think once the game gets going, it's really kind of a non-issue.
The video came out of Patrick Mahomes leaving the press conference, no walking boot, no limp. How's Patrick doing?
Yeah, looks like he's moving around okay from what I can see. I can't, he hasn't done much in the small portion of practice that I get to see, but, he's been a full practice participant. He's done everything that he normally would do in practice this week through the 2 days of practice. So, that's a positive sign. I think the emphasis has gone from can he play on Sunday to how effective he's going to be. And that's to me now the question, because he's going to play, and unless there's some re-aggravation or something like that, he'll be out there and give it a go. It's just, can he be effective? Can he be the player that the Chiefs need him to be to win this game?
Any talk of potential opportunities for Eric Bieniemy? I know it's Eric Bieniemy season. And, as this each year goes on, his name gets brought up, but I feel like, I say it's Eric Bieniemy's season, but Adam, I haven't heard, I'm not saying there hasn't been, but I haven't really heard his name be mentioned as much for any of these head coaching openings. Is that going to increase, or are those conversations being had? Do you think that he will leave to take a job after this season? What's the status with Bieniemy now, who always seems to garner headlines around this time of year?
Yeah, well, he did interview for one head coaching job for Indianapolis, and he was one of the, I think, 750 guys who have interviewed for that job. So it doesn't seem like he's one of the favorites there, although the Colts general manager, Chris Ballard, was here. He went to Indianapolis from the Chiefs, so they know each other. And I feel like that would be a connection there. But Ballard's not doing the hiring. I think the owner is going to be doing the hiring there. So I don't know what kind of shot he's got there. He may move on. There's other teams that are interested in him as an offensive coordinator, and he may be ready to move on, thinking that he'd have a better shot getting a head coaching job, getting out of Andy Reid's shadow and Patrick Mahomes' shadow, and having success without those guys. But you never know. I mean, it's entirely possible he could be back next year.
You may have just answered it, but why do you believe he has not been hired on as a head coach when right now the league, if anyone even looks like they've had a cup of coffee with someone that knows anything about offensive football, they're getting jobs? But Bieniemy just seems to be a wall up against him of giving any kind of credit to him for the success of the Chiefs offensively. You talked about the shadow of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Is it as simple as that, or why do you believe he has not been hired on or brought on by another team as a head coach?
Well, I mean, there's some things in his past that are not. No one really wants on the resume, but, you feel like he wouldn't even get an interview if teams were concerned about that. So, it's just one of those things that, Matt Nagy got hired by the Bears. He was a Chiefs offensive coordinator. Doug Peterson got hired by the Eagles. He was a Chiefs offensive coordinator. So these guys certainly have had success for Andy Reid and went on to become head coaches, but it just hasn't worked for Bieniemy. And now it's to the point where you wonder whether he is ever going to get a shot.
Adam, I'm born and raised in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, home of the Kelsey brothers. And I know my hometown is just begging for that Super Bowl matchup. I'm sure that's the same buzz out there in Kansas City as well.
Yeah, I think Chiefs fans would like to see the Chiefs go no matter who they play,
right?
Whether it's the 49ers, the Eagles. But that would be certainly a fun matchup. You have the Kelsey brothers, you'd have Andy Reid against his former team.
Oh, yeah.
So, there would be some kind of interesting angles there. But either way, I think the Chiefs they're certainly not going to complain if it's the 49ers for sure.
ESPN's Adam Teicher hanging out with us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, covers the Chiefs for ESPN. Adam, last thing on the way out here. Everyone loves lists and they love rankings and all this fun stuff. And of course, there's a lot of unique storylines heading into this Chiefs-Bengals AFC Championship rematch from a season ago, of course. But look, I don't think it's a hot take that, Patrick Mahomes, number one quarterback in the NFL, no doubt. But one of the fallouts of the Chiefs losing this Sunday, if that's the case, many people say, hey, Joe Burrow will not just advance to the Super Bowl with the win on Sunday. He will overtake Patrick Mahomes as the number one quarterback in the NFL. Where do you fall in that argument? If Patrick Mahomes, a great career already, he can't beat Joe Burrow again on Sunday, does that mean he's no longer the best quarterback in the NFL?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's, sort of beauty is in the eye of the beholder kind of thing. It's certainly, both guys are great players. And if you're choosing between the two of them, and I'll even throw Josh Allen in there, you're more than happy with a consolation prize if you don't get the guy you want. So, I don't know. It's hard to say, what's going on there. It certainly looks like Mahomes is going to win his second MVP award, and Burrow hasn't gotten one yet. But that's not necessarily the measure of success. So I just feel like it's sort of whatever flavor you like.
You're a great reporter. I gave you a shot to jump into the hot take pool, and it was a great political response, Adam. That was very well played. That was very well played. But I agree. No MVP for Burrow. Get out.
There you go. I guess that determines it, right?
Yeah, right. Hey, Adam, you're the best. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Looking forward to this matchup on Sunday, and I'm sure you are as well. Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Later.
All right. Good stuff. ESPN's Adam Teicher, Kansas City Chiefs reporter. Again, we talk about cockiness and all that. While you have the Bengals, all this talk, doing all of this talk, they're becoming very unlikable. They're likable around here because a lot of Bengals fans, they're becoming unlikable. And then you heard the reporter right there, Adam Teicher for the Chiefs, trying to get what's the Chiefs locker room saying? What are they saying, Kev? They ain't saying anything.
Keeping it quiet.
Keeping it quiet. They're keeping it quiet. Just saying, that's how championship teams. That's how mature teams. Actually, to defend the Bengals here, they can't talk. The Bengals should be doing the talking.
True.
See, you guys thought I was going to finish that in a trolling way. No. We know why they're not talking. Maybe they are a more mature team. I don't know, but they're not in position to. How could you talk? You haven't found a way to beat them. So I do wonder if the Chiefs win on Sunday, if they unleash.
Oh, they will.
And they should. But if the Bengals win, they're going to keep chirping. Who was it that said that Eli Apple is the Patrick Beverly of the NFL? Who said that? That is driving me crazy.
I saw that too.
I forgot which NFL player said it, but I could not agree more. Actually, no, that's kind of, no offense, Eli Apple, but it's kind of disrespectful to Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly is a lot better in the NBA than he is in the NFL. Do you agree? Maybe not at this exact tenure of his career, but
yeah.
Beverly. But the thing about, as I told you this yesterday, Beverly's the guy you love and he's on your team, and you hate him when he's not on your team, and that's Eli Apple right now. Except, I don't know, a lot of teams before the Bengals hated him on their team too. Not the Buckeyes, though. Not the Buckeyes. Good stuff there again. Adam Teicher, Kansas City Chiefs reporter with ESPN. Appreciate him taking some time. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We'll step away for a few moments. Don't go anywhere.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hey, Ohio, Justin Kinner from the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash with you here to let you know that the wait is finally over. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is now live in Ohio just in time for the NFL playoffs. And new customers in Ohio can get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/Kinner, Kinner. Finally, you can bet on all of your favorite sports with everything from the money line to point spreads to player props or my personal favorite, in-game parlays. So go ahead and win some bucks in the Buckeye State, all on an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Don't miss your chance to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose. Make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Pro Football Hall of Famer and 3-time champion. Trust me, I know about joint pain.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher, Emmitt Smith, talks about chronic joint pain and exciting new regenerative treatments from QC Kinetics.
I know what it's like to fight through pain, but now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced, all-natural regenerative medicine that can give you lasting relief with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Do you suffer with constant pain from arthritis or injury? Pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or lower back? Don't assume steroids, pain meds, and surgery are your only options. Regenerative, restorative, natural solutions are now available.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love.
Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation and learn how regenerative medicine can repair and restore damaged joint tissue.
Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest tax refund, plus a chance to double your refund with the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal return ends 4/2/23.
The mid-afternoon and early evening will be cloudy with some snow showers, a high near 34. Tonight's going to be cloudy with a chance of snow showers, a low near 22. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy, also with a chance of snow showers, a high near 40.